Centennial Park. At least 500 security guards. There's a lot of fencing, a lot of metal detectors. You can only have clear bags if you're going to enter the area. By the way, the gates open at 5:30 there at Centennial Park. And in sports, Vandy falls to Iowa 34-27 in the ReliaQuest Bowl. That makes the SEC bowl record so far 6. Right now, you've got Texas, Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss still to play, and Georgia and Ole Miss are going to eliminate one. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we don't have any crashes on the interstates right now, but we do have them in some inopportune places because Gallatin Pike in Madison, it's already slow going, but you've got a couple of crashes now, not helping matters. You got Gallatin Pike North near Old Hickory Boulevard, then another one, Gallatin Pike South near Due West Avenue. I'm Ken Weaver.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Matt Murphy Show. For the third consecutive day, I'm Cameron Smith, and I'm glad you're here. I can see the crowd starting together, and by that I mean Jackson. He's here.
Hi.
He's wallowing in sadness because of the Volunteers, but he's a little giddy that Vanderbilt lost. So we've got some excitements there. Is Ken back there for the news?
Ken?
Is he hanging out? Okay. I think he may be here. Maybe not. We don't know really what's happening because it's New Year's Eve. This is about as limited as it's going to get. We're short-timers in 2025. We've got 2026 just around the corner, and I'm excited about that. My youngest and my wife's cousin are going to be joining the crowds in Nashville tonight. I think I'm going home.
No, come on, Cameron. You go down there with them, man.
My wife said it's okay in the way that I don't really think she meant it was okay. I think I'm supposed to spend New Year's Eve with her as opposed to going and hanging out with the boys downtown.
Right.
And it was very subtle. It's like, oh, I'm okay with whatever. I kind of thought we would do New Year's together. And so when she says it like that, it's I know what that means. That's not you have an option. It's you have choices, and she has choices to lock the doors.
Yes.
And so I think that I will probably be watching the, I guess, various objects drop, which is what we do on New Year's from the comfort of my home. But I will have representation in Nashville. So I'll be safe out there. They got all the security, all that stuff. So you're going to have to get down there, get where you're going. I think they have sort of the more family-friendly stuff over near Bicentennial Mall, and they've got the usual suspects in the usual places. So that should be very exciting for all who celebrate. And it doesn't look like it's going to be like kill you cold. It's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold, but it's supposed to stay above freezing.
Yeah, and that to me is a win. Whenever it's in the teens, 10s, under 20, any of that stuff, I live in Tennessee, not Siberia.
Right.
Okay, so we don't need to do that. I'm also going to need the SEC to kind of kick it into gear here.
Goodness.
I mean, I get it. These non-playoff bowls are, you got everybody opting out and transferring and doing all the stuff. But come on, guys. Like, I don't want to have to listen to the Big Ten and everybody, and that includes, the Crimson Tide. Come on.
Well, if it wasn't for your Crimson Tide, my Sooners would still be in, so I'm blaming the Tide.
Well, there are options there, Ken, and given the options, I'm okay with what happened. After completely embarrassing ourselves during the regular season versus the Sooners. And hey, Jackson, did the Volunteers beat anybody this year with a winning record?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just, whoosh. Go Big Orange. So here's to Josh Heupel doing better next year. I like it when the Volunteers are excellent because it makes Hate Week more fun. And we just, across the board, we got to get it together. We got to start digging into our couches for those NIL dollars and supporting our athletic programs in a little more robust fashion, because right now, I mean, the Fighting Illini, who did Vanderbilt play? Iowa?
Iowa, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, Iowa, fortunately for the Hawkeyes, they only had one opt-out.
Yeah. Apparently, I was looking at the most painful transfers by program of folks that are moving to different. I don't know if you know this, but all of you who are Auburn fans, your team is transferring.
Yeah.
So have fun with that, and good luck competing with the likes of UAB next year.
Yeah, I want that wide receiver.
Yeah, I think everybody does. He's Cam Coleman is an excellent wide receiver. They got some great talent there, but as we know, when there's a new coach in town, if the new coach doesn't do damage control pretty fast, yikes. It's rough. Tony said, doors aren't the problem if she locks them. I'm going to Puckett's and listen to some old man band. Doors will magically open. Okay. You have fun, Tony. I like going to Puckett's. My youngest, who's 11, loves live music. And so Puckett's, he doesn't care. I mean, he loves listening to live music.
Right.
And so Puckett's is ideal for him. I like to be able to hear myself think when I'm eating. So sometimes at Puckett's it gets a little loud, and it's my oldness creeps in, and I'm like, I just want to eat my wings and think. But I'm learning, Ken, that we got to say yes to more. We got to say yes to doing things and not let the old creep in.
That's
and
right.
make you not do the things. So on my way home, I need to get some New Year's celebration paraphernalia, maybe at Walmart.
There you go.
I know they have some leftover Christmas candy and things like that. A heavy discount right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, between the Christmas candy and some sparkly things, I may get some fireworks.
Oh, there you go.
Blow some stuff up.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, we may get wild, set a couch on fire or something. I mean, roll tide. I mean, we can get after it. Well, the show today is going to be a little bit interesting because I want to go through wins and losses of 25. It's not just the big news stories. There's some huge ones that have gotten a lot of discussion, and we can talk about them if you guys want to. 615-737-9986. You can call in. You can text in. I got it pulled up. I'm ready to rock and talk. But there's some that I'll just address because they were huge stories, big deal, and just kind of outside of the conservative wins, losses. The biggest one, I think, in 2025 was the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That, to me, I understand that he's sort of a quasi-political figure. It falls into this world that we talk about frequently on talk radio. But I remember that Matt and I were recording the All the Best Words podcast when we saw the images of Charlie getting shot. And that is one of those moments where for him, for me, and for many of you, we're going to remember where we were. Because the truth is, whether you like that guy or not, whether you like what he had to say or not, he did not deserve to die. He just didn't. And that story, that event, it's going to be, I don't want to say it's 9/11. It's the Kennedy assassination. But it is a moment where we're going to remember it. And I think what we need to take away from it is politics has to be put in its place. Charlie wanted to have civil debate. He wanted to have, and okay, so he's got you on some of this stuff. So he's aggressive with some of his disagreement. Okay. He wanted to have those discussions, those arguments, those things. He didn't want to hurt anybody. And I think we got to get to a point as a society where we can do that again, where we can have the conversations, we can disagree, and we can still grab a cup of coffee afterwards and be friends, say hi to each other in church, that kind of stuff. That, to me, it can be a win if we take away from it, hey, we got to do better here. But, man, it's a big loss because it crossed the line. And my hope for 2026 is that we make a retreat from that line, that we don't see political violence as a way to resolve things. We keep talking about our enemies, our political enemies. Politicians keep talking about this, like we're at war, every day's a war. And that just doesn't square with my reality. I have friends who run the political spectrum, and we're not at war. I have in-laws who are Democrats. We're not at war. We disagree. We have some robust conversations. I think we need to realize the value of being an American. It's something that I don't want us to lose. I think it's something that we need to aspire to in 2026. That, what does it mean to be American? I'm not a Republican first. I'm an American. You know, faith, family, country. Somewhere down the line, I guess you get partisan affiliation, but we've put way too much stock in the outrage machines that allow us to have these crazy opinions. And look, the condescension from the left riled up the right for a long time. I actually told my father-in-law this. We had a discussion, and I said, you know what? One of the reasons that I have the perspective I do is because of a Hill staffer named Crystal Shepard. She worked for a guy named Howard Berman from California, and she was a Democrat, but she was really kind to me. Before the Tea Party came to power, when Obama took office, I guess it was a long time ago, 2008, something like that. I was told Republicans would never again be essentially a major party. Like the Republicans were done. That this was the new future, and there was a lot of gloating, a lot of this is the new world order. You conservatives who believed in free markets, limited government, shrinking the federal government, reducing spending. That's old stuff that nobody wants anymore. I had the dean of my law school at the time tell me that. And I remember that felt like. I remember that condescension. And I remember we're just going to run over you and you're going to like it. I was a attorney who, my boss was on the Ways and Means Committee when the Affordable Care Act rolled through and we got steamrolled. It was not, what do you think? What's your input? It was ka-thunk, ka-thunk. That's how that happened. And I remembered that. And so when I see the reaction of the populist right now, of MAGA land saying, you know, we're just going to go take a hatchet to this thing. Well, guess what? I know why. You know, but for the fact that I had some Democrats who cared about me, cared about my family, tried to help me, create opportunity for me, I'd feel exactly the same way. I'd have an axe to grind and I'd say, you know what? This is the opportunity. Let's go get revenge. And my father-in-law, he was dumbfounded. He was like, what? Huh? What? The cruelty is the point. I'm like, are you reading the Washington Post again? Like, I get it. You don't like the way that this is happening, but the shoe's been on the other foot for a lot of people for a long time. And so this has been a long time coming where people were punched, told they were deplorables, punch. And I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about just condescended to for a very long time. And then, man, boom, this is a reaction. So the bottom line, our politics come and go. They go in cycles. We don't need to shoot anybody. We are not at a point where the hour of our discontent is so significant and so substantial that we need to go into a civil war. And so that I'd like to get out of the way. I think that Charlie Kirk story is the biggest one. There's several that I want to go through in wins and losses. So for all of you folks who want to call balls and strikes, that's what we're going to do for the next several hours. And I want to know what you think. We got to take a break. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
Whether you pay by the visit or enroll in the Smart Care plan, Grace Point Healthcare is smart for 2026. Then you always know that you're getting exceptional care at an affordable price. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and the Smart Care plan is just $99 a month for grown-ups, $79 a month for the kids. And you can pay through your HSA account for the Smart Care plan. And that means you get unlimited office visits throughout the course of the year, plus free basic labs and diagnostics. That's a smart way of doing business. Plus, you know exactly what you're paying up front at Grace Point Healthcare. There are never any surprises, and they get to the root cause of the issue. They want to treat root causes, not just symptoms. That way you get sick for the long term, rather you heal the sickness for the long term rather than just for the short term. If you're feeling fatigued for whatever reason, or you've lost a step, it could potentially be food allergies or some underlying cause. So if you're just treating the symptoms, I would humbly say you're not doing it the right way. Grace Point Healthcare, they are truly exceptional medicine at your convenience. Call them today and schedule an appointment. Located in the heart of Franklin, 599-6868, 599-6868. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way at Grace Point Healthcare.
5 million more Epstein files. I'll tell you about that at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, we're back. Alan has some thoughts. I think we need to get off social media and bring back LSD. Think about it. Movies were better. TV shows were better. Music was way better. And everyone wanted to make love, not war. I mean, I hear you, Alan. That is certainly an option. But I don't know that the answer for what ails us is LSD. Maybe, probably not, though. Probably.
We haven't tried it.
Well, I think we have, actually.
Not as the grand solution.
That's fair, Jackson. We have not tried it as the grand solution. So, Jackson's grand solution, apparently everyone has to try. We'll just put it in the water supply.
Yeah.
That'll fix it.
Just a hair.
Wow. It's Alan and Jackson. Alan Jackson. LSD. Got it. Okay. That is an idea. I hear
Ken's
you.
with me.
Ken is laughing at you. He is. I don't think that means he's with you. Or he's into the wacky tobacco already. We don't. That's
not while I'm on duty.
That's in our training, right? We're not supposed to partake of any mind-altering substances while we have giant microphones in front of our faces.
Right. That could be dangerous.
That's facts. So 5669. Again, I'm just checking the Super Talk text line, 615-737-9986, because what you want to talk about is what I want to talk about. 5669 said, the things you're saying are 110% spot on. A really nice guy who's a fan of some of the other folks on the station called in one time and told him that he was dismissive. And I think basically the idea of this post, I'll pull it together, is we don't need to be divisive. We should have conversations. We should have conversations with people who disagree with us. And that will naturally, some people like that, some people don't. But to be intentionally like, you're not on my team, so don't be an idiot. Like, I'm not going to listen to you. I want to listen to you, and then we can figure out where to go from there. You're not going to like everybody. But I was actually telling one of my sons, let's not make enemies if we don't have to. Let's not just decide we don't like people right out of the gates. And that's one of the things that like Facebook and some of these other things allow us to do, is we can preform an opinion of somebody before we ever meet them. And my suggestion to all of us is, well, meet them and then make up your mind. And give people a chance. Give them a chance. Like, okay, you messed up. I didn't really like that. Okay, let's talk again. I get it. If you don't like talking to somebody again and again and again and again, you're probably not going to be real close. And that's fine. But the level of outrage I see on social media where people read things and then vent their spleen, well, y'all need to check your blood pressure. We need to chill out. I mean, I don't know if it's LSD, but you need something to help you relax a little, because this is a thing you read on the internet, and the number of people that I have seen just wild about things in Minnesota over the last several days. Do I think fraud is good? No, we should prosecute it. Let's go. Do I think waste in the federal government? Do I think a lack of oversight is good? No. Am I going to lose my mind because of Minnesota not having appropriate oversight of federal dollars? No. And I think the Trump administration did the right thing. Let's shut this down until we can figure out what's going on over there. That's how you do it. But you don't need to lose your mind. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get through some more wins and losses. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Just got a breaking news alert from the Associated Press that says after legal setbacks, President Trump has just said he's dropping the push for the National Guard in Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland for now. And the Justice Department is reviewing more than 5 million more pages tied to Jeffrey Epstein. It comes under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which Congress passed, requiring full disclosure. About 400 attorneys from multiple divisions are now working around the clock to process and redact sensitive details. The next major release of documents is expected in late January. We have a surging number of flu cases here in the U.S. ABC's Sophie Flay reports.
Flu cases skyrocketing. New data shows the number of flu-related illnesses nationwide jumped by nearly 3 million since the CDC's previous report earlier this month, with more than 30,000 new hospitalizations and 1,200 additional deaths. Some hospitals are overwhelmed.
Here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Centers restricting visitors to try to stop the spread. They say no visitors under 16 years old or anyone with symptoms. Mortgages going down as we head into the new year. Other costs are still elevated, says Perry Russum.
If you're taking out a $400,000 home loan, your monthly payment is now $2,289 versus $2,473 at the start of the year. Gas prices have gone down, but prices have gone up for gas utilities, daycare rent, restaurants, and groceries. Most analysts expect the impact of tariffs on higher prices will fade toward the middle of next year.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes, one in Bellevue. This involves injury. Highway 70 southwest of Sawyer Brown Road. In Madison, got a crash. Gallatin Pike North near Old Hickory Boulevard. And in West Nashville, police reporting a crash. Charlotte Pike at Whitebridge Pike. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, folks. Matt Murphy for Cover Nash. Shane Ring and Cover Nash have been begging you for the last month or so to go ahead and do a check on your health insurance because you might get some surprises come 2026, friends. And the last thing you want when it comes to your health insurance, surprises, because those surprises are oftentimes increased premiums, increased deductibles, and you don't need to do that. You need to call Shane Ring and let him fix it. He can help by shopping the entire healthcare industry market available to you. He can find the best deal possible, cutting your costs by 40 to 60% off, keeping any doctor, any hospital, and skipping the government red tape. If you're self-employed, if you're uninsured, or if you're simply tired of paying too much, call today. 615-465-0023. There's still time. 615-465-0023. Or go online to coverdash.com. You can schedule an appointment. You can go see Shane in person in his Brentwood office or do it all on the phone. Real health coverage on your terms, not on the terms of the government. It's the one and only Cover Nash.
Welcome back. I am cracking up at the Super Talk text line, 615-737-9986. Guys, I understand that those of us who have a Southern drawl, speech to text is not our friend. And you all and U-Haul sound a lot alike. And so Sherry has been struggling with that about the voice and the boys and the U-Haul and you all and attitude and latitude. The struggle is real, Sherry. I get that. She made a good point, though, because y'all know me by now enough to know that I'm just not an angry guy. I don't want to be an angry guy. The anger of man doesn't work the righteousness of God. It's not something that I value. If I feel myself getting angry, I got to ask why. But Sherry makes a point. She says, the reason we're losing our minds over the Minnesota fraud issue is because for at least 4 years, all these things were swept under the rug. We've held our tongues and our opinions for over 4 years. We have a right to express our opinions, to be angry about it and let you know. And you're the one who opened the text line and the phone lines. Yep, I agree with that. A couple things. I think we probably don't do a good job of looking at the facts. Sherry, you're right. And I want you, and I'm asking you to share your perspectives and opinions, and I do think those are valid. I don't think you're telling me the truth when you say you held your tongue and your opinion for 4 years when Biden was president. Really? You want to stick with that? Because I don't think that's true. I know you guys. Y'all said exactly how you felt about this stuff. But the truth is, one of the biggest fraud prosecutions was like $300 million, and 92 people were charged. 80-something of them were Somalians. Happened under the Biden administration. It was a massive fraud operation in Minnesota. So the DOJ under Biden had been prosecuting some of the fraud. The idea that this is not, that the Biden administration didn't do anything as far as fraud, that's just not true. Now, some of this stuff, it looks horrible, and it is. It is. And it should be investigated. It should be prosecuted. Trump's right to say, yo, we're going to shut this down until we can figure out what's going on here. It's a good idea. Real good idea. But that doesn't mean we have to be angry about it. But Sherry's right. We've got to be able to talk about it. We've got to be able to throw it out there and say, you know, this doesn't look right. And I think the truth was, we put up with a lot of this stuff. I pulled up a GAO report. We've been talking about these advanced premium tax credits. Those have been in the news, and we've talked about them. And there's a GAO report that I'm looking at right on my desktop. GAO decided we're going to test this for fraud. So they applied with fictitious accounts to get the advanced premium tax credit. For plan year 2025, of 20 fictitious applicants, so this is the government testing its own system, 18 remain actively covered as of September 2025. The advanced premium tax credit for these 18 enrollees totals over $10,000 per month. I mean, this fraud and this stuff is everywhere. And it's not, I looked at the GAO's estimates. I think it's fair to say we're looking $500 billion a year. A year. And it could be even higher because we're blowing so much money out the door. When you're blowing $6 trillion, $7 trillion out the door, it's so much money, it's almost impossible to track. It would be like track the grains of sand on the beach. And so, yeah, we're going to catch some fraud. We're going to prosecute some folks, and yay. But as far as the leakage of the system, the problem is you got too much. And that's the problem. Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, some of the other folks were pointing that out and saying, the problem here is the spending. The fraud's bad, and it should be prosecuted, but we don't have enough intrepid reporters to go suss it out. We don't have enough investigators and detectives and people to kind of figure this out. And it happens here in Tennessee. I was reading the comptroller's report for the Department of Children's Services. I told you all about this yesterday. The system, TFAX, that tracks the kids, and, you know, it is the information brain for DCS, started falling apart in 2008. We don't get another overhaul of this, and we're talking major problems. Everybody's been waving the flag saying the big issue here is you can't track anything. Your Amazon package, we know exactly what happens to it. A kid in DCS, we have no clue sometimes. And I can tell you that from firsthand experience. But the project comes through, initiated in 2024. It's supposed to be completed in October 2026. It's going to cost $70 million. $60, $70 million for a system that, frankly, isn't even as complex as like Salesforce that somebody's going to use in business. But because we're going to hire consultants on consultants, and we're going to hire layer upon layer, and nobody has the expertise to figure this out, we got to go hire that expertise, $60 to $70 million. But that's not going to make a lot of headlines because it's like, well, how much should it cost? What's going on? And that's what's creating all of this fraud, improper payments, stuff like that. It's all sitting around us in plain sight. We can look at it and figure out what's going on. But until we start turning over the rocks, it ain't good. So I want to get back to kind of what we were talking about in terms of the wins and losses. And a couple of y'all pointed out, 8695 said, is this the day I'm supposed to send you a pic of my junk? What you're talking about is if you search the X machine for hashtag TN Politics, you'll see a picture of my junk drawer. Okay? So do not send any pictures of your junk. You can send a picture of your junk drawer to @DCameronSmith on the X machine, and then we will analyze it and see what it says about your 2026. Are there extra keys that don't open any doors? Are there very small flashlights that can't light up anything? It tells me a lot about you. I put mine out there, and you can see what it says about me, but I want to see yours. Your junk drawer, the emphasis on drawer, send me that picture, and we'll talk about it. But no, do not send me anything that's not safe for work. I will not open it, and if I do open it, I will send it to Jackson so that he can deal with it appropriately. He's the producer, so I think he's basically the HR rep for whatever terrible things you send. I've been told. 1844 says, what about Erica Kirk going against Charlie on the topic of Nicki Minaj being a good role model? Guys, if you think Nicki Minaj is a great role model and you're parenting young women, okay, I don't know what to tell you. I know who Erica Kirk is, but I knew who Charlie Kirk was because I'd seen Charlie do his things. We had some folks that I knew that knew him, that kind of thing. I didn't know or interact with him directly. I always thought what he did was interesting, but I don't really understand the lionization of all of this stuff. The Turning Point USA, that's great. Like, if you want to support that organization, go ahead and do it. I like the idea of going on college campuses and having tough conversations. I think Charlie Kirk was a unique individual. I think he was somebody who could do some things that there are very few people who can, because he was extremely gifted and extremely fast on his feet. And so he could have some very interesting conversations. He could stand and deliver. I'm not saying his wife can't. I'm just saying that the idea that you can just replace one person with another and the organization is going to be as strong as it ever was, it would be like saying, oh, well, anybody can replace Trump and just be Trump. No, Trump is unique in politics. He is authentically himself. He's a one-off. There are imitations. There are people who try to be like him, but they're just not. And so I think it makes, okay, you guys in your drawers and junk, you're killing me. You know the deal. You want to send the picture of the drawer full of the clutter and things you don't know where it goes, send that, but none of the other garbage. But the point about Turning Point and all that stuff is it's free association. If you think that they're going to do really well without him and they're going to, continue on college campuses, then support him. And I think it's a great thing to do. But I don't think that you can replace a Charlie Kirk. I don't think you can replace a Donald Trump. And there are people like that are uniquely talented and gifted, and they're one-offs. And that's part of life. So I also want to hear any of your New Year's resolutions, commitments, things like that. We went through my 7 commitments that I put out in a column over at the Tennessean. I'm getting ready to get after those, and I can run through them shortly. But I really want to hear what you guys want to commit to, what you're going to do. Here's some of the wins, okay? And these count for Trump, these count for Republicans, but these are the wins that I think in 2025 were the most impactful. First, immigration law enforcement. This, I think, is the singular win. I'm reading, I got some glasses now, so I can read the fine print. It's great now that I'm old. Here's the numbers of encounters nationwide. When they say encounters, these are folks who were encountering unauthorized individuals at the borders to the country. Going into Trump's inauguration, we'll do November, 124,972, 125,000 for November, 125,000 for December, 81, we'll call it 81.5 thousand in January. Then February, 28,613. March, 29,013. Under 30,000, under 30,000, under 26,000, under 25,000, under 26, right at 26. It's bumped up a little bit in October and November of this year, but it's still, I don't know, 100,000 encounters less than the end of the Biden administration. I don't know that there's another way to say these policies have worked. The border security and immigration enforcement from the Trump administration is effective. If you enforce the immigration laws consistently, folks don't try to come in nearly the numbers. And I'll be the first to say, I don't think the Trump administration, particularly folks like Stephen Miller, are the best messengers to communicate on the topic. But dadgum, they're right on the law. We enact laws. You need to enforce the laws as enacted. Full stop. And when I can look at the numbers and they're showing me, hey, the immigration magnet has been depowered. And you see under both Republican and Democratic administrations where this lax immigration law enforcement had just, folks were like, well, look, I don't have to go through all the paperwork. I can just cross the border. Or so what? They pick me up and then they just let me go. And then I just don't show up for my hearing. Like, who cares? That's over. And I think it's not just over for as long as Trump's president. I think the American people are going to be real upset regardless of who the president is if they just stop enforcing the law and these numbers go back up. Because this shouldn't actually be a partisan issue. If you want to change the law, change the law. Here's a good example. If somebody is in the immigration pipeline, they've done what they needed to do legally to get their legal permanent status or something like that. Technically, if their visa expires while they're waiting, then they can be arrested or detained and deported. My point is we should probably fix our system so that we don't have all these delays and things like that. And that's the type of thing that we should be fair on. If you tried to do it the right way, and because the government is slow, incompetent, and inefficient, you were put in a bad way because of that. All right, we should fix that. But again, we should fix that. We should have that conversation in committees. We should introduce legislation, and we should hire the right folks and do all of that. I think that's in 2025, that is one of the biggest political successes for conservatives. For America, really. I understand that people are, well, it's so harsh. It's we watched, Afton Bain lose her mind and do all that kind of stuff while running for Congress because ICE is terrible and ICE is just doing its job. You don't have to be mean about it, but you do have to enforce the law. And I think that's a good thing, good win for Trump. And frankly, an example for everybody else. We have run long, haven't we, Jackson? We need to take a break, don't we? He's saying fair to mid. So yes, no, yeah, he gave me the thumbs up. We got to take a break. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Superdog 99.7.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Alpha and Omega. We talked about computer protection just moments ago. If you want to protect your business from ransomware or spyware or, for goodness me, cybersecurity threats, it's time to get Alpha and Omega on your team. They offer exceptional IT service and cybersecurity and have since 1998. They partner with you, whether you're in the financial world, maybe you're in the medical field, whatever type of business you own. They understand that your time's important. And when you have IT issues, you don't need some call center on the other side of the world or an AI chatbot. You want a human being right here in the state of Tennessee, and you get that at Alpha and Omega. Local experts and real people who answer the phone every time. Even if you do have an IT person or someone on staff, they go on vacation, don't they? Do you not need a backup plan? I think you do. I would encourage you to investigate your next IT contract through Alpha and Omega because they are simply the best when it comes to all things computer, all things IT. Whether it's email, servers, whatever it might be, they can handle it with Alpha and Omega. They beginning and the end. That's right there in the name. Alpha and Omega. 615-784-0096, 784-0096, or a&o.net.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The Justice Department is aiming to have hundreds of lawyers dig through its massive collection of Epstein files before they're released. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy with the latest.
As it reviews and processes millions of pages of documents, the Justice Department is now seeking to enlist 400 DOJ attorneys, including federal prosecutors in New York and Florida. Sources say the review is expected to take much of January and that the next release of Epstein-related documents is not likely until the end of the month. It remains unclear why the department is only now claiming it's discovered more than 5 million pages that may relate to Jeffrey Epstein.
Under a law signed by President Trump, those files were to have been released earlier this month. President Trump says he's pausing his push to send National Guard troops to Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland. Legal challenges and a recent Supreme Court ruling have stalled the plan. Trump posting to Truth Social, quote, "We are removing the National Guard. We will come back, perhaps in a much different and stronger form when crime begins to soar again." He hinted that the deployments could return, again, as you just heard, if crime spikes. And a surging number of flu cases in the U.S. With more than 30,000 new hospitalizations and 1,200 additional deaths, some hospitals are overwhelmed. Here's Dr. Tim Paul with Tanner Health.
We're as full as we can be, actually. So we have quite a bit of boarders, patients that are in untraditional spaces, where we're trying to find safe places to take care of people.
Here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Center's restricting visitors as flu and COVID cases rise there, according to officials. Anyone under 16 is not allowed, and anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms are being told to stay home. Kentucky, by the way, reported its first pediatric flu death of the season, that happening in Kenton County. And here in the new year, new hemp rules could limit THC products you can legally buy.
We don't want things taken away. We want things regulated.
That is East Nashville hemp retailer Allison Drumright telling News 2 the changes start on Thursday. Oversight moves to the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
So June 30th, THCA is going to be banned. That is our smokables. That is the flower that we sell. That is our vapes. You see it in some edibles, but not loads. So it's not really going to affect any edibles. We're just going to see this with our smokables.
And Congress quietly added language to a recent spending bill redefining hemp.
So on a federal level, yes, so we will around this time next year, if things don't change on a state level, we would lose everything, including most CBD products.
A bipartisan coalition led by Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace actively working to repeal the federal hemp ban scheduled to be enacted in November 2026. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. I-40 just past Broadway, exit 209B. We've got the right shoulder blocked by a stalled vehicle. I-24 in Clarksville, the off-ramp to Rossview Road from westbound 24 is partially blocked by a crash. In West Nashville, police reporting a crash Charlotte Pike at Whitebridge Pike. And in Bellevue, an injury wreck, Highway 70, just west of Sawyer Brown Road. I'm Ken Weaver.
Welcome to the second hour of the Matt Murphy Show on this New Year's Eve. I hope that some of you have started to make your way to downtown Nashville for the New Year's Eve festivities. Jackson shaking his head. No.
Wait till 7.
Wait till 7.
Let me get out of downtown.
Yeah. Wait till Jackson leaves, then come down here. Also, I think the gates open at like 5:30.
So we're hosed.
Yeah. I think we're cooked, bud. I would also like to get out, and I have no expectation of that happening. But I am here for you. And we're going through the wins and losses of 2025. Robert has been extremely patient, and so I want to see, he says, in memoriam 2025. Robert, what you got?
Well, first of all, before we get to that, Jackson, did you enjoy my Christmas song last week?
I don't know. Did you, Jackson?
Oh, the one you called in and sent to us, the heavy metal version of something?
No, the one I sung for Matt Murphy on last week on the last day of the show.
Oh, I wasn't here.
Oh, you weren't here for Nincompoop Jingle Bell?
I was not.
Okay, you'll have to go back and watch it. I clipped it on Facebook.
They call it Jingle Poop.
Okay. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, for as far as people we lost on 2025, let me see if I can get this sounding right. Well, let me tell you, brother, we may have lost the greatest one of all stuff, but Hulkamania will continue going on in the future forever. So long as no one ever forgets Hulk Hogan, he will live with Hulkmania forever. Now, if you excuse me, I got to go bite into a Slim Jim.
That's pretty good. There's Robert for you. Yeah, Hulk Hogan. That was a big one. It's amazing how long a year is. I know that sounds intuitive, but Gene's trolling you, Jackson. Did the Vols win? And
They did not.
They did not, Gene.
Matt Murphy sang Rocky Top, though.
That is gross. It is so gross. Whenever I hear...
It's just catchy.
It is. I hate it that it's catchy. And it's, as an Alabama fan, growing up in Tennessee, the Rocky Top, there for a while, especially during the Shula years, like, I heard Rocky Top a lot. And I was concerned that Tennessee was making a comeback and ascending into glory. And then I realized Josh Heupel is Mark Richt. So, I think you have many 8 to 10 win seasons ahead of you. And I wish you the best.
But 10 wins.
10 wins will do it.
It'll get you in the playoffs. It'll get you in the dance.
It will. It will. So, I mean, maybe. But I don't think, maybe this is blasphemy for you guys. I don't think Heupel's going to do it for you. I don't think he gets you to a national championship.
I have reservations.
I think Jim Knowles can make a big difference.
Yeah, this new defensive coordinator, the one who was Ohio State's defensive coordinator.
Well, the Illini put up 30 on you, so.
Well, yeah,
I told you before the show. I was not surprised. The offense made me angrier yesterday than the defense.
I'm just trying, as the light fades on the football season, I'm just trying to get what I can out of it because there's not much left, folks.
It's basketball season.
I know. Round
Tennessee
ball.
takes on Arkansas in Arkansas Saturday.
I've tried. Alabama's gotten a lot better at basketball, and I've tried, and I can support it, but I can't watch it. Like, I watch the end, but round ball doesn't do it for me. So I refer to the time after football as the dark times.
Football.
The dark times. The dark times are here, and they're coming for us, and then we'll have to wait until we start sweating again to get it back.
Titans play Sunday.
Who?
Titans.
The what?
The Tennessee Titans.
Oh, they have a football team still.
Yeah.
That's how I feel as a Titans fan.
They're 14-point underdogs in Jacksonville.
It's hurtful that this is allowed to continue. And I'm not going to say that we have the worst owner in the, NFL, but because I don't know all the owners.
I do. She's not the worst, but she's not great.
I thought Bud was pretty good. We fire the coach, we fire the GM, we fire the coach, we fire the GM. We got to stop that. We got to just make up our minds. Like, I want Miss Amy to put on a headset, go down to the sidelines, and let's see if we can right this ship.
She needs to talk to Jerry Jones.
Yeah. I mean, I think she can do it. You just got to.
Jerry hadn't won anything since the 90s. Jerry hadn't won anything since I was born.
Yeah, but he goes on the sidelines.
Hey, just put the headset on. Like the Irsay owner from the Colts. Now, they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, that worked out real well for him.
That tanked real bad real fast. So maybe
they traded for that corner, Sauce Gardner?
Yeah.
So he went from the 1-7 Jets. And then when he was traded to the Colts, they immediately went 1-7. Sauce Gardner has won 2 games all year.
That's pretty impressive. So in spite of all, Gene did not mean to turn us into a sports station. So we've been told we have to go back to the serious things. And so we'll do that now. But football. Yep. So immigration law enforcement, that was a big win. The numbers bear that out. It's true. This is how long this year is. Remember the Israeli hostages? Those were released, the remaining ones, this year. I mean, that seems forever ago. The Gaza ceasefire. That was a huge win. That, to me, that was an intractable solution or situation where those hostages were just going to be stuck there forever, that Hamas was going to dig in, and this was going to be just Israel and the Palestinians blowing each other up indefinitely. And it's been, to use the words of the media, tenuous, but it's held. That's a big win. That Trump gets a lot of credit for that. A lot of credit for that. And then Iran's nuclear ambitions blowed up. I thought that was a risky strategy, but it paid off. And I thought for sure Iran would do something to us, and it hadn't happened. So that's a huge win. I mean, Iran has been a thorn in our side for a very long time on a number of issues of international relations throughout the world, not just in the Middle East. And we basically said, nope, boom. And that sort of led to a number of other wins. And I think when you connect those, it's a win. It's a win. I don't see any other way of looking at it other than, Trump defanged Iran. That's win. Here's another one. The federal workforce reduced by almost 10%. roughly 300,000 folks. Now, they did these buyouts and stuff, and so that's a lot of it. I think that's truthfully, between buyouts and just attrition, the right way to shrink the federal government. It's got millions of employees, and you just sort of say, you know what? We're going to not rehire, we're going to consolidate, and we're going to keep shrinking this thing because it's a behemoth, it's unwieldy, and it needs to be radically. This is the chainsaw that Doge promised and did not necessarily deliver because it's really hard. And by that, I mean Congress has the will of a toddler in front of a cake. Like, Congress does not have any interest in seriously reining in spending, reining in the bureaucracy, reining in, because the fear is, well, if you cut an agency, something bad happens, then you get blamed. So let's just keep going and adding. And we need to take a hatchet to it. That is the right answer. It is not artful. The scalpel approach sounds super good. It doesn't work because the federal government grows faster than we're able to neatly cut things. Perfect example are these premium credits that were temporary for COVID, and then we get to the altar and Democrats are like, you hate Americans because you're going to kick them off their health insurance. It'll be too expensive. Well, yeah, but these are supposed to be temporary. We all agreed these were temporary. We were not serious. You have to keep them. And that's how things get kept. And you have Republicans now saying, well, maybe we should keep them. People will be really mad. No, Democrats and Republicans both agreed that these were temporary in nature because of an extreme situation like COVID. And then we don't follow through. So, hatchet, chainsaw, whatever you need to reduce these agencies, to rein them in, to say this is not something the federal government needs to do. It sounds great. Let the states do it if they want to. The federal government does not have to do everything. And so 10% is really good. The problem is when we cut the headcount by roughly 10%, spending is up 6%. So we're spending more with fewer people. Great work, guys. Except for not. So that's that we'll get to that in the losses. And finally, the one that I'll throw out there is Europe is investing in its own self-defense instead of just banking on us to cover the bill. That we are the defense for all Western aligned nations, and we are, we're the military superpower. We get that. That's super cool. Fantastic military. I love that. I don't want that to change. I think for our national interest, we should have the best military in the world, and I am happy for my tax dollars to pay for that. Now, do I love it the way that we do military procurement? No. I think we should reform that. But I like having a strong military. Peace through strength. It's long been a principal position for Republicans. It's what we need to stick with. The fact that Europe is now taking it more seriously and saying, yeah, we got to spend some of our GDP on planes and tanks and guns and ammo and missiles. Yeah, you do. And I really like the fact that when it comes to Ukraine, they are more engaged. That it is the coalition of the willing, or whatever you want to call it. And I think, one, I've long supported Ukrainian sovereignty. Putin's in the wrong here. But I love the idea that Europe leads here. We can support, we can offer munitions, we can do stuff like that. But the fact that in a nation that's very far from us, we have to be the ones who are the adults in the room, that just doesn't fly. And I like the fact that Europe is starting to step up. I think that is encouraging. And then that makes some of the international bodies, some of the international engagement more respectful and more positive. Because when we're carrying the load and we're getting chirped at by folks who don't like our way of doing things, we get a little chippy. I've seen a lot of you get chippy. I do. But now I think it's getting a little more balanced, and I like that. I think that's positive. And I think it'll be good for the free world because I'm telling you guys, even in what we call the free world, we're about to have some real hard conversations about what freedom really means. Just go look at the UK and free speech and where they are with some of that stuff. Civil liberties actually really, really, really matter. We need to keep them going. We also need to recognize the losses, the ones where we didn't quite get it right, where policies didn't work as intended. And we'll talk about that when we get back on the other side of the break. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
The Wellness Institute of Nashville can help you if you hurt, friends. And if you want to find a more natural way to solve your pain problems, I encourage you to go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville, or at least give them a call and let them talk to you about what they can do for you in 2026 to make that pain go away in a more natural fashion. Sadly, back pain can be debilitating. I mean, that pain can just be life-altering, and in some cases, I'm sad to tell you, life-ending. I mean, people just lose their lives, lose the ability to live their life because of the pain. Well, what if I told you that you didn't have to pop pills all the time? You didn't have to maybe put the needles in you to block the pain, and you don't have to consider surgery. There is another way, and that way is through spinal decompression techniques. And now they have the Hydro Wave. The Hydro Wave stimulates stem cells for cellular healing, repair, and restoration with no surgery, no needles, no injections, no downtime, and they are the first and only office in the state of Tennessee to have this new technology, the Hydro Wave. Ask them about it when you make the call to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Not only are they great people, not only are they good folks with an incredible heart that can alleviate your pain, they're also the sponsor of the Nincompoops in the News Award, presented weekly on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Give them a call at 615-246-5009, 246-5009, or online at painisbad.com. Painisbad.com for the Wellness Institute of Nashville.
And federal officials say the Epstein document review has ballooned to more than 5 million pages. That story and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Welcome back to the Matt Murphy Show. I'm Cameron. Well, I wasn't even talking to the microphone. I'm Cameron Smith, and we're going through the wins and losses. So far, we've talked about the wins, and these are the political stories. It's not everything. It's not exhaustive. Just a couple things for your consideration. Wins, immigration law enforcement. The border encounters around the country have been radically lower under the Trump administration. And it makes intuitive sense, too, because they've been enforcing the law. And so folks are thinking twice before crossing the border without legal status. The return of the Israeli hostages and ceasefire in Gaza. Iran nuclear ambitions have been dashed. The federal workforce has been reduced by almost 10%. And Europe's investing in self-defense instead of banking on us all the time. Those are the wins. And I need you to tell me on the Super Talk text line, 615-737-9986, what I'm getting wrong and what I'm getting right. We're going to move into the losses because I think this is where it's going to get uncomfortable, but I think it's where we need to be honest. And I've told you guys all along, I'm happy to talk about the wins of Republicans and Trump, but we need to be honest about where we kind of fell short. The tariff policies have been all over the place. We've put them on, we've taken them off. We've said we're going, we're not going. We've been told that we've generated so much money that we're going to start getting rid of the income tax. Folks are going to get checks. It's all over the place. This stuff has been bizarre, and it hasn't been helpful. First, I want to address the point about the tariff revenues offsetting the income tax. Through November, tariff revenue, $236 billion. Okay? Let's just round up through December and say 250, just for fun. Heck, you know what? I'll be generous. I'll give you $300 billion in tariff revenue. I'm just giving you bonus revenue. Guess how much we took in individual income taxes? Anybody got a guess? Jackson, how much do you think we take in income taxes, individual income taxes?
$3 trillion.
Pretty close. It is the largest source of revenue to the federal government, and in 2024 is $2.4 trillion. So, if you want tariffs to offset the income tax without radically adding to the government or radically adding to the deficit, you're about $2.1 trillion light. $2.1 trillion light. Meaning, you would essentially, no, I take that back. You would more than double the annual deficit if you offset federal income taxes with tariff revenues. So that's just not true. That's not a thing. We've raised so much money from tariff revenue, we're going to get rid of the income tax. We're going to look into that. No, because math. Like that, you're being gaslit on that. That's not true. Because you're not generating enough money off these tariffs. The other issue with the tariffs is it hasn't actually offset the trade deficit in the way that it was advertised. Our trade deficits are lower. They've been lower. They went higher for a while, and then they've been lower since April. But we haven't run a trade surplus at all. Still, trade deficits $52.8 billion in September, And the tariffs collected over that same period, 31.4. So the trade deficit is still more than the tariff revenue. So just saying. And it's just not a good revenue generator. It's not. And so what happened is everybody imported everything and jumped them in early and said, I'm going to get everything in here, and then has been burning through those stockpiles. And the trade deficit was actually, it should be about break even year over year, because it was large at the beginning of the year and has shrunk. But as of September, it was running 17%. The trade deficit was 17% larger than January to September 2024. So I just don't think, and I'm the conservative on this one. Democrats have supported tariffs. Democrats have supported economic protectionism. Like, that's just true. That is where they've been. Trump decides he likes tariffs. And initially, I agreed with the game plan here, which was to promote free trade, to say, you know what? If you're going to have tariffs on our products to prevent our businesses from competing in your country, we're going to do the same thing to you. Slow you down from competing in ours. That's fair. I talked to Bill Hagerty about that a while back, and he said trade reciprocity is a good thing. Now, trade reciprocity also makes sense in certain contexts and others. For example, we don't really care if other countries give us favorable status on coffee beans. I'll tell you why when we get back after the break. I'm Cameron Smith. You're listening to Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Federal officials say the Epstein document review has ballooned to more than 5 million pages. The Department of Justice says it's pulling in hundreds of lawyers to meet transparency deadlines, redactions being made to protect victims as the process continues through the holidays. Public release of the next batch likely by the end of next month. And the National Guard pulling out of Chicago, L.A., and Portland, Oregon, at least for now. President Trump announcing he's backing off after courts blocked his efforts. On Truth Social, Trump wrote, quote, "We are removing the National Guard. We will come back when crime begins to soar again." He says crime dropped where troops were deployed, but warns it's only a question of time. Flu cases continue to skyrocket nationwide as the holiday fatigue starts to set in. And according to ABC News, medical contributor and emergency physician Dr. Darian Sutton, we're nowhere near the worst of it.
Right now, 7.5 million illnesses. That's 3 million additional illnesses compared to the week prior. 81,000 hospitalizations. That's a 65% increase, totaling 3,100 deaths so far. Right now, we are still in the midst of the rising tide of this flu. We have yet to see a peak, which means we have to prepare and protect ourselves.
Now, here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Centers limiting visitors due to the surge in what they say are flu and COVID cases. So no visitors under 16 are allowed. Sick visitors, they're saying stay home. It's already 2026 in some places around the world. Celebrations erupt in Karachi, Pakistan, as the clock struck midnight there on January 1st, 2026. And here in Middle Tennessee, organizers of tonight's Jack Daniels, Nashville's New Year's Eve Big Bash say security's the main focus. They've got at least 500 security guards, a lot of fencing and metal detectors, and they say only clear bags will be allowed in. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, drivers, right now we have got a crash in Goodlettsville. It is blocking the off-ramp 65 southbound to Rivergate Parkway. Right now it's very slow going if you are westbound to 40 to get to downtown. I'm not really seeing any crash or anything like that. I think that's just volume, people getting downtown for the big celebration tonight. I'm Ken Weaver.
You know, I got to tell you, not only is Keith good for business, he's good for this community, Keith and the rest of the team at Contours LLC, because they help us lose the weight that we've been trying to get off, and they really do benefit the community in that way, and they've brought brand new technology around. But Keith is also good people. I had a chance to hang out, have some dinner with him Saturday night. It was great times, great fellowship, and a great conversation about 2026 and what that's going to bring for Middle Tennessee when it comes to Contours LLC. Listen, folks, I get it. It's the holiday week, and I understand you're probably not thinking about losing weight this week, but I want you just for a moment to think about next week and the week after. I want you to think about what you're going to do in January to get some of that weight that you've put on during the holidays, maybe, or some of the weight that you've been trying to get off. I would encourage you to go ahead and ask about the Murph, which is a package they're running at Contours LLC. $99 will get you in for your first treatment, and if you like it, you can go back and they have some specials in the new year to help benefit you when it comes to the red light therapy. The technology is the perfect solution to get rid of that stubborn fat. It's non-invasive, painless, effective, and it is cost-effective. Give them a call and go ahead and schedule that appointment for the new year. The number, 615-236-9960. 236-9960 or online at contoursllc.com. That's contoursllc.com.
Welcome back to the Matt Murphy Show. We're going through the wins and losses. We've gone through the wins, and we had started on the first loss of 2025, which I really believe is tariff policy. And we saw the tariffs come on, then go away. Erratic is the word that I would use. I never thought I would see Republicans bragging about government revenue. That is so strange to me. We want to keep taxes low. And in the case before the Supreme Court, the Solicitor General of the United States was very clear that that's what these are. The sleight of hand saying that tariffs, consumers don't pay them. What has happened is that while there's been this uncertainty and there's a reasoned belief that these are going away, at least in their current form, because of the Supreme Court in January or February, a lot of businesses, now these are American businesses, have eaten the cost. And they've said, we're going to eat these because we don't want to lose a competitive advantage. We don't want to lose customers due to price increases. We're going to eat this. So they've eaten most of it. So that's been the good news. But we're going to have a case that the Supreme Court is going to release an opinion on January or February, and that'll shake this up even further. Again, tariffs are not a good revenue source because you can avoid them, you can go around them, and they hurt your industries, your domestic industries. Just ask a farmer. During the first Trump term, there was a $28 billion bailout of farmers, and Trump just did a $12 billion bailout. We need to make farmers more competitive. We don't need to make them more government dependent. And when you take away markets because of your trade policy, then that hurts American businesses, American farmers. Economic protectionism is a liberal idea that is not good. I want American businesses to compete. We are the best because we're the best. We're not the best because we don't have to experience competition. That makes us weaker. And so these are not good policies. I've written about them. I've talked about them. As a tool to promote free trade, I'm supportive. Tom says, Cameron, I believe I understood the goal of the tariffs. I don't necessarily agree with Trump's method. Thanks, Tom. And Happy New Year to you and the guys. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. The issue there is, I think the goal, which is what Matt supports it, I support it, Senator Hagerty supported it, the notion of trade equity. Like you can't stop our businesses from competing in your country, or we're going to stop yours from competing in ours. That's a fair argument. But it's not even the same for item by item, because like coffee, we don't produce really any coffee in the United States. So if somebody we consume everything that we have in the United States, mostly grown in Hawaii. I mean, it is literally nothing compared to the amount of coffee that we consume. And so I don't really care what Singapore's tariffs are on American coffee because we don't export it to them. So it doesn't matter. So it's really a case-by-case, product-by-product analysis that's really dorky, but we need to pay attention. 1812 says, we're all sick of hearing about the farmers. Well, that's clearly not true from the Super Talk text line. Blah, blah, blah. If they haven't figured it out by now, they won't. Well, okay. But when government trade policy it actually hurts the farmers, and then you bail them out, that's probably bad, right? I mean, if we're closing off markets for farmers and then giving them a government handout instead, that seems like terrible policy. 4317 says, how do you suggest bringing manufacturing back to the U.S.? This is one of the biggest misnomers in this whole conversation. We are the largest consumer of goods and services in the world. We are the largest producer of services in the world and the second largest producer of goods. We manufacture a lot in the United States, and we consume a lot of what we manufacture right here. And that's actually the truth. You can look at this. It's readily available. Go check it out. Our manufacturing is doing quite well. It is not your dad's or your granddad's manufacturing. We're no longer going to have assembly lines with people standing along a bunch of rollers assembling a thing. We have advanced robotics. We have crazy amounts of energy. We have our manufacturing so sophisticated. You know those little slices of pizza you eat in the frozen section? They're cut with a water jet. So American manufacturing is live and well. And what's really interesting here is, what do you think our manufacturers want to do? Is it only sell to the United States, or do we want them to be able to sell around the world? I think the answer is obvious there, right? We want them to sell in the maximum market possible and bring those dollars home. You can't do that with protectionist trade policy. You have to do everything you can to secure market access for American businesses so that we have cool jobs and we sell stuff all around the world. That's what we want to do. That is really, really, really smart. Gene says there's no more Lucy and Ethel eating chocolates off a conveyor belt. Nope. And so if we want to be a really, really rich country, we need to not just be able to sell to ourselves. 4317 made the point of, well, why is there still so much stuff from China? Actually, due to the trade policies, Mexico's jumped up, Canada's jumped up. China's now our third largest trading partner. So there's less stuff on the shelves from China. But the truth is, we live in a global economy. We want to have a opportunity to sell our goods all over the world. That's awesome. Nancy said, tell me who you are again. I'm Cameron Smith, Nancy. It's nice to hear from you. You sound like your father-in-law. Well, if you met him, you'd know that's not true. You don't sound like an independent conservative or Republican. You sound more like a liberal Democrat. I don't know where you're getting all your facts about tariffs. WTN has made some bad hire choices lately. I guess they just need anybody to fill in on New Year's Eve. I'm hurt, Nancy. I think I'd just rather hear a rerun from the morning crew. Well, Nancy, I'd like to challenge that. And I appreciate that. Nancy, did you know that tariffs and those policies are Democratic policies that the likes of Ronald Reagan radically opposed and led into the greatest period of prosperity in American history because we opened up trade and kept taxes really low and we beat the world at everything? That is what conservatives used to believe. Democrats believe that you have to protect our businesses from competition because they're fragile and they can't win. 3449 said, what's Chris Hand's audience doing listening to you? Guys, I don't know what to tell you. If you think it's conservative, if you think trade protectionism is conservative, then you haven't been paying attention. Private industry, businesses are what has made America great. Americans have made America great, not government protecting and saying, you little business, you American business, you can't compete. You can't compete. We need to protect you so that the other countries, they can't beat you. I'm an American. I want to win. I want to win. Tariffs are loser ball. So that is a loss. Chris is going to tell me why I'm wrong on tariffs. Chris, what do you think?
Well, first off, Cameron, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. First off, go Eagles and roll Tide. This is Chris Martin.
Awesome, buddy. Good to hear
How
from
are
you.
you?
I'm good.
Hey, so my comments, I agree with you 100%. I run a small business, e-commerce jewelry business, and we deal with metals, which has been painful recently, but also, gemstones and stuff like that. And the U.S., unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of supply of the silver. We do. It's all in the Nevada, New Mexico hills the government owns, and we can't actually tap it. But I'm paying tariffs to import from India for gemstones that I can't buy, in the U.S. that are sourced in the U.S. I'm paying tariffs to source things from China that I can't get from U.S. suppliers, and I'm paying metals from Italy for the same situation. And so it's really anti what we should be doing, which is a global society trying to further trade to help businesses. And the other thing I think most people probably don't understand is the only people paying these tariffs is us.
Right.
Small businesses and business in the U.S., right? I have to pay 20 to 30% more to get the goods that I'm then selling to the consumers.
Right.
It's not China paying it, it's me.
Right. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, and it's really easy when folks are team players and they hear the rhetoric, but when it's just the basic economics of the situation, that when your input costs go up, guess what you do? So do your prices. This stuff causes inflation. It's what it does. It causes price inflation. So
100%. And the other thing I think that I see running a small business is the economy is not necessarily as good as people want to put out there. I know a lot of people are struggling, and unemployment numbers are all bogus. We all know that because they don't really account for people that aren't actively looking for a job anymore.
Right.
But people are struggling, and so the price points, the consumer price point wants to go lower based on demand, but I can't go lower because my costs are 30% higher than they were 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah.
So I have a choice. Do I raise price or I go out of business?
So you get to eat it, basically.
As much as possible, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. It's good to hear from you.
You too, man.
All right. Talk to you. Well, I think that's it, guys. That's the point, and that's why this is a loss. Y'all can tell me why I'm wrong. We can have the conversation. Paul, I see you. We'll get there. We got to take a break. I'm Cameron Smith, Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
The Justice Department says the number of Epstein files they're finding just keeps growing. Details coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Welcome back, y'all. We're on short time. Hey, I understand that calling balls and strikes comes with folks getting mad. But I want to be real clear that just because a Republican does a thing that's historically been a Democratic thing doesn't mean that those of us who remain consistent are now liberal. That's not how that works. And again, I believe America is awesome because we compete, we grind, we win, we beat everyone. I saw Miracle on Ice. I get it. When I was a kid, we beat the Russians at their own game in hockey. It's awesome. That's the America that I'm here for. I do not want to protect them with the nanny state. I do not want to protect our businesses so they don't have to compete. I want them to have a fair playing field all over the world and kick tail. That's America. If you want to be liberal protectionists, we're just going to disagree. And that's why this tariff policy and stuff like that is a loss. If that doesn't get you going, we got several others that aren't great, and that includes the Epstein files. We're going to talk about that when we get back. Don't worry. We got balanced coverage here. We got the wins, and we got the losses, but we're not going to hide from the tough stuff. We're going to talk about it because that's what Americans do. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show, and you're listening to Super Talk 99.7.
5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. The Department of Justice is tackling a massive trove of Epstein-related files, claiming today it has found more than 5 million more pages. It says teams from the FBI and U.S. attorneys' offices are assisting in the review. They're calling it an all-hands-on-deck effort to meet legal requirements. The public may not see new documents until late next month. President Trump says the National Guard is going to leave Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland. He claims crime has dropped since troops were deployed. He posted, "We are removing the National Guard despite the fact that crime, in all caps, has been greatly reduced by having these great patriots in those cities." He warned they could return if crime rises again. Flu cases continue to skyrocket across the country, with more than a dozen states now reporting a very high number of illnesses and more expected to follow. ABC News medical contributor and emergency physician Dr. Darian Sutton outlines the trends experts have noticed with these recent cases.
The bulk of these cases, nearly 90%, is associated with that variant, subclade K, which is a variant of the flu. It's flu A typically when you get tested for it. Unfortunately, it seems as though that's what's driving these numbers. Nearly half of these cases are in children. The majority of the patients that we're treating in the emergency room are children suffering from the symptoms of this infection.
Now here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Center's limiting visitors due to a surge in flu and COVID. Tennessee Highway Patrol says traffic deaths fell sharply in 2025. Fatalities dropping to 1,045 statewide, an improvement from 1,194 in 24. Urban areas led the way, but some rural regions saw increases. Here in Nashville, they had a decrease of 13 fatalities for a total of 255 in 2025. Troopers say they plan to target seatbelt use, impaired driving, and motorcycle safety in the new year. Big changes to Tennessee's DUI law start tomorrow. Roadside saliva testing will be allowed, and refusing any test carries harsher consequences. Channel 4 got reaction from a spokesperson for Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
I think the reason that we're most in favor and the most positive thing about this is just to give law enforcement more tools in their toolkit to address the issues of drugged driving. Alcohol impaired driving is still the number one, issue that takes the most lives, causes the most crashes. But there's no doubt, I think everyone sort of sees an increase in the issue of drugged driving.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Right now, got a crash reported by police, Old Hickory Boulevard at Eulalia in Hermitage. This one has injuries involved. Couchville Pike, just east of South Mount Juliet Road. Madison police reporting a crash. Gallatin Pike South, just south of East Old Hickory Boulevard. I'm Ken Weaver.
Welcome back. We got 2 hours left. And then a little bit more. And 2025 is over. So we're going through wins and losses, and I do think it's important. I'll summarize the wins because I think what's happening here is people can't call balls and strikes anymore. That's not a thing. It's just too much. Because in politics, you pick your team and it's your ride or die, end of discussion, right? Wrong. Politicians work for us. I feel very strongly about that. And principles are kind of what you anchor in. And then you take those principles, you look at the facts, and you come up with a course of action. And I understand that I'm somewhat obstinate here because I don't like being told that I must agree with any politician entirely, because that's insane on its face. I love my wife to death. I don't agree with her on everything. And if I know what's good for me, I try to limit that as much as possible. But I'm going to have disagreements because we're humans. And so that's when we have to just be honest and say, I just disagree. And here's why. And here's my thoughts and you tell me yours. And when I know I'm right, if y'all want to know a little secret, is thankfully we have a very broad audience and there are a ton of people who just are like, preach. And they love the discussion that we're having. But there are some who can't stand it. And I know that I'm still stubbornly consistent, that I am tough-hided, impartial, and doing what I said I would do when they take their ball and go home. My family members who are of a liberal persuasion, when we have discussions, they get really mad and they storm off. Because I just say, well, what about this? And, do you really think we shouldn't enforce the immigration law? And you really think that we should just keep spending indefinitely? And that, to me, is that runaway attitude says you don't have a better argument. And so I would urge everybody, when you hear something you don't like, double down. Have the conversation. Explain your position. Explain why you're right and I'm wrong, or why you're right and someone else is wrong. Don't just say, well, I hate you. I don't like you. Because we have a ton of that. It's everywhere. It's all the time. And just so you know, it's for every host on this radio show. I'll use Chris Hand as a good example. Chris Hand and I have very different perspectives, even though we're both conservatives. I'm probably a little more on the libertarian side. He's a little bit more on the populist side. And so we have conversations. We're both family guys. We have kids. We have a lot of common ground, a lot of things we agree on. But there are people that listen to him and are like, dunderhead. There's people who listen to me and are like, you idiot. And that's okay. Chris isn't running from it. I sit right here. And I have everybody else, Matt, Chad, Dan. That's the reality of putting your opinion out there. But what I'm asking from you guys, and so many of y'all are so good, just engage. Just say, okay, let's keep chewing on this because, and Gene says that's because he's Canadian. And that may be true big if true, with Chris. But we all have different styles. That's what makes, and I'm not just talking about the hosts. I'm talking about Americans. We have different thoughts and opinions, and that's what makes our society awesome. Is you can bring them to the table. We're a melting pot. We have the conversations, and that's how we roll. So the wins that I went over, immigration law enforcement, huge win. Return of Israeli hostages and ceasefire in Gaza, huge win. Blowing up Iran's nuclear ambitions, huge win. Federal workforce reduced by almost 10%, huge win. Europe investing in self-defense instead of banking on the U.S., huge win. And I'll add to that, calling out some of these international bodies for policies that haven't really made much sense and saying, no, we're not going to just do this anymore. This is dumb. And I am stubbornly conservative in the sense that the policies of limited markets, or not limited markets, limited government, free markets, rule of law, individual responsibility, Goldwater, Reagan style conservatism that brought massive prosperity to America and freedom to the world is, I'm not going to waver from those. That's just where I am. Politicians come and go. But those principles don't. Tom says, but most of the left can't back their opinions. It's always, I heard, I saw. And that's true, which is why you don't back away from the challenge. You need to have, Tom's right on it, because my family members who are left of center, they're not wild, woke folks. They're left of center. I had the conversation about, just Trump taking a hatchet and cutting government, and people are concerned that they're losing their pensions. And I asked George, my father-in-law, I said, well, did they lose their pensions? No, but they thought they were. I'm like, well, so you're telling me the problem that you have is a thing that didn't happen? No, I mean, it didn't happen, but they thought it was, and it scared them. Okay, but you know that, like, government, like, nothing's guaranteed there, that policies can change. Yeah, okay. And so basically it was like, I don't like the way they're handling themselves. And I told him, I said, well, you know what? I didn't like the way the Democrats handled themselves on a lot of the climate stuff because they just told us we were all idiots. I didn't like the way that they handled themselves on the gender stuff, that we're all bigots if we think that gender isn't fluid. You kind of got the point. But if you just say, I don't like you and I'm not going to talk to you and I'm going to back away because you're terrible, then we don't make any progress. So, yeah, I mean, that's how we need to call this. 8695 says, renaming the Kennedy Center after the Don, huge win, huge. I'll be honest on this. I have a policy that I don't think anything should be named after any living politician or, frankly, person. I am fine renaming a post office after a fallen member of the military. I am fine if you want to name something after Hulk Hogan. Knock yourself out. But I find it, I just don't like it. It creeps me out. Yeah, I don't. When you're alive and you're in politics, and look, Trump's not the only one. I mean, Senator Shelby from Alabama was an appropriator, and he had, buildings named after him while he was still in office. And I just, no, is my response on that stuff, because it just seems like a conflict, right? Because if I want something from a politician and want him to build something or do favors for me, then I name something after them and flatter them. And I don't like that. I don't think that's a good idea. 8207 says, do your listeners know that Reagan was a Democratic governor from California? I think so. I mean, again, this is all public knowledge. Fantastic president. I was a Reagan baby. True story, in the Capitol in California, there's a statue of Ronald Reagan that was commissioned. I don't know if it was after his death. It was after he was governor. And because California is quite liberal, it is now in the basement of the rotunda in the Capitol in California. It stuck Reagan in the basement. It's kind of funny. 2372 says, Cameron, I think most of West Virginia has Senator Byrd's name attached to it. That was before he died. Same reason. That is a very good point. Robert Byrd, I got to meet him before his passing when I worked on Capitol Hill. And he said, call me Big Daddy, because he was an appropriator. He was appropriating American tax dollars, but he did it quite well. And he was a character, Ken. I mean,
sounds like it.
He look up Robert Byrd Big Daddy on YouTube, and he made no bones about I get the pork and I take it back home. And he was one of the last great speakers on the Senate floor. Every year for like the 4th of July, he'd get out and he would just give this flourishing speech about a picnic. And he'd be like, and there's barbecue and coleslaw. And we like the emphasis was like, you're supposed to hang on every word, but he's just describing the ingredients of a picnic.
Yeah.
But he was so much fun. But the point is, you can hear him basically say, I get pork and I give it to people. And guess what they did? They name stuffed after him. He said, well, thank you so much, sir, for giving us our money back and giving us other people's money. We'll name stuff after you. And I just don't think you should do that. I mean, that just seems weird to me. And it's not a Republican or Democrat thing. I just don't think you should name anything after anybody alive. Like that way you don't have any problems. Like it's just, if you want to name it the Trump Center after Trump's dead, like, okay, cool. Like that way there's nothing that Trump can do to give you stuff, or it's just, it is what it is. Because acolytes for every politician will try to name stuff and tell them they're great and tell them, I've watched it a million times. This is what lobbyists do, guys, is they go to politicians and are like, you're brilliant. When you speak, the world listens. And they puff them up and they're like, and you know, what I need is this little appropriations rider. You know what I can do? I can get it. I think we should name it after you. If you can secure the funding here, we'll definitely name it after you. That's what happens. So that's the reason I'm a little bit jaundiced on the naming of stuff after politicians, certainly politicians in office. Let's see, the Schiff Kennedy Center. That's funny. No, not that either. Cameron, you need to educate yourself. So first of all, and I'm going to read Ernie's comment in a second. Part of the reason that I read comments that disagree with me is so you guys can hear them, because otherwise I'm just looking at them. And I think it's important for you to hear the conversation. So I appreciate you pointing out, those of you who are pointing out, you don't have to read the things that are there. Like, I know that, but I'm doing this because I think it's important to get all the pictures out there. Cameron, you need to educate yourself on farmers and their production of, it says grind, maybe it's grain, and the tariffs. We can feed the world. Our farmers are good in production. The bottom line on government subsidizing farmers is to hold the price of food down. The money that's used in subsidizing saves the average American lots of money when purchasing food like sword. I don't know what sword is. Beans, wheat, and corn. So commodity crops. I guess sword maybe like soybeans. You don't know anything about it. Ryan plays a bigger factor in all this in tariffs. I'm guessing that's rain. If you can wrap your brain around that, I'll know you're a city slicker and I understand. But don't go talking about some things that you don't know about anything. Matt Murphy and Dan and Chris are my heroes. I have met them and talked to them at the Glock store, and I'm a regular listener. Ernie, the old Vietnam vet. Well, first, Ernie, thanks for your service. Second, the reason I'm a lawyer today is because I worked on farms growing up. It is tough, grueling work. And my family was in the beef cattle industry. And if you know anything about subsidies, the subsidies have gone to soybeans, cotton, corn. That's where Farm Bill is really focused. And so there's a lot of different things. And I hear the subsidy argument, and we'll talk a little bit about it on the other side of the break. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
So the last thing you want to hear is that you have the old cracked slab, right? The last thing you want to hear is that you have an issue with your foundation that needs repairing. And I understand. And USS wants to tell you no. They want to come out and say, no, you don't have a problem. No, you're all good. No, we can't help you. That's USS's goal, right? I mean, it's odd for a company like USS, which specializes in foundation repair, waterproofing issues, and concrete leveling, for them to say that, but it's true. I mean, they love telling folks, no, you're good. No, you're okay. No, we're going to pack up and go home because you're fine. But if you've noticed the signs, odds are you've got something going on, and you need to address it early on because it's just going to become more expensive as the days become weeks, as the weeks become months, as the months become years. Let USS, the problem solvers, come out to your home. They've been doing this since 1994. They can help, friends. Homeowners simply trust USS. USSTN.com online, USSTN.com, or call 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for our friends at USS. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only USS.
Justice Department says the number of Epstein files they're finding keeps growing. I've got that story and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. You guys need to be careful out there. We can't have all these wrecks. We got a lot of folks coming down for the New Year's celebration. That's awesome. Stay safe. Drive slow.
Talking about 200,000 people, man.
I know. And my wife has said that I will not be one of them. My son and her cousin will be, and they're going to have a good time. He's going to be the largest 11-year-old you see out there in his cowboy boots and his cowboy hat. And we went jean shopping for my buddy today, and he's a good lineman. He is.
Yeah.
But he's got a rather large diarrhea, and finding those jeans, I mean, it's a process. I mean, he's got some thunder thighs, and they're useful for moving people, but God built a lineman when he made the little beast. So he'll be down there, and the girls are going to be jealous. I mean, a booty like that and those jeans, hide your daughters. I mean, just telling you. Puts on those cowboy boots and that cowboy hat, and he's ready to wrestle a bear. So it's going to be good. But like I said, I want y'all to be safe because it's a cool night to celebrate, kick off next year, but you don't want to do that with a DUI or a car wreck.
No, sir.
Be careful. Get somebody else to drive. Y'all know the deal. Just be careful. Okay, so we went through the wins. We're going through the losses. Tariffs. Look, I'll just put a bow on it with this. If the goal is to keep markets competitive and ensure that we can compete wherever we go, then I'm all about it. If it's to protect people from competition, I have never once seen a team, a kid, a business, anybody do better from a lack of competition. Ever. In my entire life. That is liberal garbage. We don't need to do it. Americans can compete. Not only can we compete, we can win. We can kick the tail of everybody else. And we've done it again and again throughout our nation's history, starting with the British. So, that's the America I want. That's why I don't think that policy is a win. And I don't want farmers to be dependent on government handouts. I have worked on and with farms for a lot of my life, a lot of family and farming, and they're not people that say, you know what I really want is a government handout. I want more of that. They want to be independent. They want to do what they do and be left alone. So maybe y'all know some different farmers. The other loss, the Epstein files. I just have in my notes, what are we doing? Why is this still a thing? We found, 5 million files?
5 million more files.
Yeah. Oops. Guys, what are we doing? This is embarrassing. The law is clear. The law went through Congress, was signed by the president. Follow the law, just like with immigration. This is an atrocity. This was human trafficking by the rich and powerful. We know what it was. And you know what? We were promised transparency. I'm old enough to remember the notebooks of Epstein Phase 1 that we made the Trump administration made a big show out of these notebooks. And then nothing. And then it's a hoax. And then no. And then nope. Now we got to redact everything. Nope, we can't process. We're finding 5 million more What? I mean, this is an epic fail. And just an epic fail all the way around. Because nobody is sitting and looking at this and saying, hey, this is a good thing. What is good is taking a break. And we need to. And we will right now. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And the number of Epstein case files the Justice Department claims it is finding keeps growing, now topping 5 million pages for review. The department says hundreds of attorneys are working 24/7 to prepare them for release. This review includes sensitive redactions, they say, to protect victims, and officials expect the next document drop sometime next month. President Trump says the National Guard will leave Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland. He claims crime has dropped since troops were deployed, but he warned they could return if crime rises again. And then he said it's just a matter of time. And a surging number of flu cases in this country. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
Flu cases skyrocketing. New data shows the number of flu-related illnesses nationwide jumped by nearly 3 million since the CDC's previous report earlier this month, with more than 30,000 new hospitalizations and 1,200 additional deaths. Some hospitals are overwhelmed.
Yeah, here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Center is restricting visitors to stop the spread. They say no visitors under 16 years old, and nobody's going to be allowed if they have symptoms. Mortgages going down as we head into 2026, but other costs still remain elevated, says ABC's Perry Russell.
If you're taking out a $400,000 home loan, your monthly payment is now $2,289 versus $2,473 at the start of the year. Gas prices have gone down, but prices have gone up for gas utilities, daycare rent, restaurants, and groceries. Most analysts expect the impact of tariffs on higher prices will fade toward the middle of next year.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, downtown, got a crash, 3rd Avenue there at Broadway. In Hermitage, injury crash. Looks like that's about to be wrapped up. Couchville Pike, just east of South Mount Juliet Road. In Madison, got a crash. Gallatin Pike South, just south of East Old Hickory Boulevard. Back to Hermitage now, got a crash. Old Hickory Boulevard at Dodson Chapel Road, Andrew Jackson Parkway. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Better Water LLC. Better Water is so good at what they do. They remove sulfur and iron and chlorine and bacteria and E. coli, everything from your water. They offer a full range of water treatment equipment, from reverse osmosis units to water softeners to specialized filters, UV lights. One of the first calls I made when I decided to buy a new home was to Better Water LLC. They're coming out to the house. They're going to put a whole home system in my home because I know they treat water at the hospitals. They treat water at your favorite local coffee shop, and they're going to treat water at Murphy's house, too. Based out of Smyrna, treat all of Middle Tennessee. Go to Better Water LLC's website, betterwater.com. That's betterwater.com, or better yet, give them a call at 615-355-6063, 355-6063.
Welcome back. We're going through the wins and losses of 2025 in terms of policies and things like that. The second loss I got to is just the Epstein stuff. This is, come on. I mean, I get it. Democrats want the issue. They want to point out that Trump is protecting the rich and powerful. I mean, it's a convenient argument for them to make. So don't, like that's how you solve that. You release the documents. You don't discover 5 million more. That is like Biden-esque level incompetence. And some of the redactions they've already seen that aren't compliant with the law. The law is very clear on what can and can't be redacted, and things to spare people embarrassment are not on the list. So this is just going to be an albatross that's going to hurt Republicans. And for what? To protect the rich and powerful. That is not a winning narrative. It is not something that, and this has been an unforced error, a terrible fumble by the Trump administration. Bondi, wow. Yikes. It was rough. So there's not much more I can say about that. The other one that y'all may not know about, but you should. This has been the least productive Congress in modern history in terms of bills that have passed the House and Senate and been signed into law in the first year of a new presidency. It was 40 as of later this month, and then or near the end of this month, and over the last week they've signed in. I think we're up to 68 bills, but a lot of these were regulatory disapprovals, things like that. And I get it. The House has really tight margins, but they didn't do anything. They didn't even try. And that is I don't care how you count it, that's a loss. I don't like, okay. I will entertain the argument. Well, it's actually a gain because Congress doesn't need to do lots of random stuff. Okay. But the issue was that we're on the heels of the Biden administration. There was plenty to do, plenty to rein in, plenty to be like, let's not do that anymore. Trump's done something like 270 executive orders. There's a starting point. There's plenty of places to pick up and say, you know what? We're going to we're going to fix this. We're going to turn this into law, not an executive order. You can just start with those and say, okay, cool, great, no problem. And they haven't done that either. And I think the last one that's on my list, you can tell me if there's other ones, was the shutdown. And it's not because I love the federal government. Oh, my goodness. You're right, 3325. Jackson, we're going to have to do like a very fast nincompoops. We're going to have to do it. We have to do it right now.
You got one?
I'll find one. We'll find it right now. You got one?
I got one.
Ask and it shall be delivered.
In the news.
I'm going first.
I think we all win.
Oh man, is this the meat market? Please tell me you're looking at the meat market.
Oh, I had that one. That's my backup.
Okay.
But I've been out a couple of days, so I don't know if y'all have already done mine.
Okay. Well, Ken, is that the one you saw?
Nope.
Good. Then we're in good shape. I'll use the backup. Then we'll go to Jackson. We'll go. This is still exhibition because we're not back to regularly scheduled programs. So this is just exhibition.
Right.
This is just hilarious. This robber is stark raving mad. A Florida man is accused of robbing a meat market while butt naked, wearing nothing but a face mask, according to cops. This is hard to even say. Kobe Watkins, 24, was caught on security camera making off with $1,000 from BJ's Meat Market in Lake City last Tuesday, completely nude, except for a covering over his face. The naked man grabbed the money from a cash box in the store and fled. Cops say that Watkins was unclothed, but he was not unarmed. Employees said he had what they believed to be a weapon covered with a cloth. All right, you're not covered, but your weapon is okay. Police responded to the supermarket and after forming a perimeter, found evidence including clothing and other items believed to be connected to the robbery along his suspected route of travel, according to police. He was quickly located and arrested. Nobody was injured during the bizarre incident. Cops confirm he was taken to the hospital for a medical evaluation, booked into the Columbia County Jail, charged with armed robbery, exposure of sexual organs, grand theft, and criminal mischief. This is the understatement of the century. Incidents like this are unsettling, but our officers responded quickly, secured the scene, and worked with our partners to identify and arrest the suspect. Okay, that is, what possesses you to take off your clothes, cover your weapon, and go rob somebody?
Yeah.
I mean,
a meat market.
At a meat market. There you go.
I like how the cop says it can be unsettling.
Indeed. Jeez.
Good old Florida.
Ah.
What if I told you mine was also from Florida, Cameron?
Well, that would be consistent.
Yes, sir.
Felony theft charge for Grinch gift grab. Have y'all done this?
No.
Not that I know of.
Okay, a 44-year-old woman is facing a felony charge for the Christmas morning theft of children's gifts from under the tree at a Florida hotel, police report. Investigators allege that Erica Rothenbuehler entered the lobby of a Red Roof Inn early Thursday morning and began looking under the tree. As captured on hotel security video, Rothenbuehler then took 6 total toys, which were for the kids, before leaving the lobby. The pilfered presents, cops say, were worth about $48. An arrest report does not indicate who the items were intended for or whether they had been collected in a local toy drive at the St. Petersburg Hotel. When police subsequently located Rothenbuehler, she reportedly made spontaneous statements saying that she thought the gifts were for the kids in the building. And cops noted that the defendant does not have any children. Pictured above, she was arrested for theft, with the charge would normally be a misdemeanor. The matter was upgraded to a felony due to her prior convictions for stealing from a Winn-Dixie supermarket and a Wawa convenience store. She's locked up in the county jail in lieu of a $5,000 bond.
Good grief.
She's
a
experienced.
Real Grinch.
Yeah. Experienced at it.
Yeah. All right, Ken.
All right. This right here in Nashville, boys.
Oh, wow.
Man arrested for indecent exposure. Touching passenger on flight to Nashville. Fox 17 says a man was arrested for allegedly exposing himself and having contact with another passenger on a flight from San Francisco to Nashville Monday night. An arrest warrant says Quaterius Taylor was, quote, performing acts on himself and the victim in the middle seat on the Southwest Airlines flight. The passenger told officers Taylor was performing acts and making contact in that area of the body, which they say was not consensual. The passenger provided Metro Police with a video of the incident, and Taylor was arrested at the airport gate. He faces charges of sexual battery and indecent exposure. And here comes the nincompoop part. He's probably already out on bond. It was only $25,000. Jeez. Somebody doing what he did, I don't know if you let this person out.
I just want to know, my first reaction if I'm in an airplane and somebody's playing with their parts,
right,
is not to video it, you know?
This is on video?
Yeah, my first reaction is run away.
Yes.
Exit, climb over the back of the seat, get away from that. And somebody, I guess the victim here, videoed it.
They're still air marshals, right?
Good grief, people. Like, that is, don't do that.
But $25,000 bond for this? I mean, that's sexual assault.
Yeah. Old
Quatarius Taylor.
Well,
coming in from San Francisco.
He could have headed straight for the meat market,
Yeah, he was not wearing a mask.
Yeah, that's not good. They should probably block those before they get on the airplane from San Francisco and just be like, are you going to play with yourself? And if they say yes, don't let them on.
Yeah, he was doing that, but he was also, playing with the passenger, too. That's what I'm saying.
Were they playing Uno?
Uno's a great game.
It is a great game.
Well, that's not good. Okay, there we go. We've got them out there. Those are the nincompoops. They're there. And
vote Ken Weaver.
Vote Ken Weaver. That's
honestly
fair.
Vote Ken.
How does one vote Ken?
You text in Super Talk text line 615-737-9986.
Yeah, get in here. I mean, I'm still the guy. Wait a minute. Okay, so I'm going to take off my clothes, but I'm going to put something on the gun.
Yeah.
Nothing on me except for a mask. That way, there's no way they'll be able to identify me.
They'll never get me.
Right. And imagine that lineup. All right. All of you cover your faces. That's weird. Okay. Well, we did it. It's there. The exhibition is out there for your consideration. I said that we would do it today, and I did not want to be made a liar.
That's the way to go, Brother Cameron.
We got to just jump on it. I appreciate you guys going so quickly. And 2372 says, Cameron, you're the winner, but do you think with a name like BJ's Meat Market, he came in looking for something other than fresh oxtail? See what you did there. See what you did there. Weaver's getting a lot of votes.
Yay!
I mean, how do you do a lineup on Meat Market guy? Guess that mask didn't stop the spread. Okay. Ooh. And there's a request from 1522 to have Jackson pronounced subsequently, please.
Subsequently.
See? He can do it. He knows words.
I'm rusty. It's still the holidays.
Yes. I was informed by my wife that while my son is on break, my 14-year-old, who decided to stay up till midnight to watch a movie and then slept till 1:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, that used to be fun.
And she was like, did you set expectations that he needed to get up? Well, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. The day's gone. Like,
day's over.
The expectation is you don't skip days of your life.
Right.
And that was apparently,
That didn't work either.
I should have managed the expectations there and been like, son, it's a little awkward to sleep through the entire day.
We've all done it, though.
Yeah. She pointed that out. She's like, well, I was in college with you, and I remember that you occasionally slept that late. And I said, I was depressed. We need to get him a counselor? And she's like, no, I don't think he's depressed.
Sleepy.
I don't know. I don't know why I even began. She's like, I think you're upset. You should not be upset about this. If you were going to be upset, you should have communicated the expectations clearer because it's the break right now. I'm like, I'm not taking a break. Well, that's the expectation for you. I'm like, thank you, sweetie. Thank you. So this is what you get for marrying somebody that's very smart and very level-headed. These are the movie. Oh, what was it? I cannot remember the movie because I did not stay up. I went to sleep. But they've been watching some good movies. They watched Green Mile the other day.
Oh, it's a great movie, man.
And, I mean, John Coffey. They figured out the initials. They understand the, messianic. Yep. They're like, Dad, oh, my goodness, did you know? I'm like, yeah, right? Legit. So it was really, really good. Ernie, the old Vietnam vet, said, Cameron, I was raised on a dairy farm. I have a cure for the guy if he was on the plane exposing himself. I just put a rubber band down on him like he was a bull calf, and that'd cure the problem, surely. Nothing like it. It'll get you. Yeah, I don't. Other great movies we saw. I'm shocked that it didn't win an Academy Award, but Major Pain. If you haven't seen that, Damon Wayans.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. That's an oldie but a goodie. All right, we got to take one more break. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
$5 million more Epstein files. This story and more at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Welcome back. For the those who are curious about what movie it was, I was just reminded via text that it was Bad Boys with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. And that is what had my son up till midnight. And they informed me that it had famous people in it like Will Smith. Because for them, Will Smith is a very old actor.
So they're into slapstick. Ba-doom-ba.
That's very good, Ken. As far as dad jokes go, that one, it was an appropriate cultural reference that I got a little chuckle out of, but was not overtly funny.
No.
And that's what I shoot for as a father. But yes, the action heroes of my childhood are basically like super old now for my boys. They're like, oh, have you heard of this Will Smith and the movies that he is in? They're classics, we've been told. I'm like, Bad Boys was made a while ago.
Yeah.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, great show.
Yeah, but that, I mean, many decades have passed.
Yeah.
And it's
like 3.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough when you say it like that, Ken, because that's 2372 says, no, Ken, the guy on the plane was into slapstick.
That's good.
I don't know.
I'm going to start using that. The next time, I've got to credit that texter, but next time I've got to use code. That's a good term for it.
Slapstick's a good code. Yes, that is. Apropos of nothing, I'm watching Fox News on the screen right now. Y'all can't see this because it's in front of me. I'm looking at Trey Gowdy.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like Voldemort.
Really?
From Harry Potter. Like, truthfully, if you look at him, I don't get it. Like, that's his look. But I get Voldemort vibes. It's
interesting.
Very, very strange.
Gotta go over there and look.
Yeah, it's just wow. He's got it's very very Harry Potter Voldemort. Yeah, it's okay.
Interesting.
I don't know why, Ken. It's just kind of where we are. So,
and he's shiny.
He is shiny. I don't know why he's shiny. Nobody tells me why these things are the way they are.
Interesting.
It is. So we've made it through our wins and losses. The last one was just the shutdown, 43-day federal shutdown. The reason I don't like it is because everything gets shut down and then we just pay everybody right back. It is fiscal performance, but no, we didn't get nothing for it. The baseline that we got for it was Joe Biden's spending levels. That was what our big win was. We won Joe Biden's spending levels, and that was our fiscal conservatism that we won with the shutdown where the Democrats capitulated. Yay. Government shutdowns are dumb. Like, I'm okay with the government shutting down. It doesn't really bother me per se, except for the fact that we just basically give a lot of federal employees vacations where they're not working because they're not getting paid, and then we give them back pay as a matter of statute. And I find that irretrievably strange. We've got one more hour to go in 2025. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. The Justice Department aiming to have hundreds of lawyers dig through a massive collection of Epstein files before they're released. They say they've got 5 million more to go through. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
As it reviews and processes millions of pages of documents, the Justice Department is now seeking to enlist 400 DOJ attorneys, including federal prosecutors in New York and Florida. Sources say the review is expected to take much of January and that the next release of Epstein-related documents is not likely until the end of the month. It remains unclear why the department is only now claiming it's discovered more than 5 million pages that may relate to Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, President Trump says he's pausing the deployment of the National Guard to Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland. He says he's pulling those troops out, but he posted on Truth Social, "We are removing the National Guard. Perhaps in a much different and stronger form, we'll be back when crime begins to soar again." He hinted the deployments will return. He said it's just a matter of time. A surging number of flu cases in the U.S. with more than 30,000 new hospitalizations and 1,200 additional deaths. Some hospitals overwhelmed. Here's Dr. Tim Paul with Tanner Health.
We're as full as we can be, actually. So we have quite a bit of boarders, patients that are in untraditional spaces, where we're trying to find safe places to take care of people.
Now, here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Center's restricting visitors. They say flu and COVID cases are on the rise there. They want to keep their patients safe. And Kentucky's reported its first pediatric flu death of the season. It was in Kenton County. And in the new year, new hemp rules could limit the THC products you can legally buy here in the volunteer state.
We don't want things taken away. We want things regulated.
East Nashville hemp retailer Allison Drumright telling News 2 the changes start tomorrow. Oversight moves to the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
So June 30th, THCA is going to be banned. That is our smokables. That is the flower that we sell. That is our vapes. You see it in some edibles, but not loads. So it's not really going to affect any edibles. We're just going to see this with our smokables.
And she reminds that Congress quietly added language to a recent spending bill that redefines hemp.
So on a federal level, yes, so we will around this time next year, if things don't change on a state level, we would lose everything, including most CBD products.
Bipartisan coalition led by Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace is actively working to repeal that federal hemp ban scheduled to be enacted in November 2026. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got a crash 40 eastbound just past Charlotte Pike. Bellshire, a crash. Dickerson Pike at Due West Avenue. And Ewing Drive at Brick Church Pike. Police reporting a crash there. Hermitage, Old Hickory Boulevard at Dodson Chapel Road, and in Berry Hill, Thompson Lane at Bransford Avenue. Glencliff, a crash. Murfreesboro Pike at Thompson Lane. I'm Ken Weaver.
Welcome back for the final hour of the Matt Murphy Show. This New Year's Eve, 2025 is almost done. The Matt Murphy Show only has, less than an hour left. And miles to go before we sleep. And we had Jackson and I figured out that everybody's heading downtown for New Year's Eve in Nashville. So hopefully we're able to get to where we need to go without too much trouble. Again, be safe. Do what you can to not drink and drive. Not do what you can. Don't drink and drive. Do not put yourself in a bad way to start out 2026. Don't be stupid. Do stupid things, especially not with my youngest down here. He doesn't put up with that stuff. I saw a rather funny news story here to wind down 2025. I don't know if y'all know this, but Jeff Bezos relocated from Seattle to Miami. What I didn't realize, and this was just published, but policy matters, tax policy, things like that matter so much that Washington was considering a 7% capital gains tax. And obviously, for somebody with Bezos's wealth, that's a significant amount of money. He left. One address update. And now Washington State has $1 billion less to spend on K through 12 education and childcare. Because he left and those tax dollars left, it cost Washington $1 billion. So the moment that you think policy doesn't matter, tax policy doesn't matter, trade policy doesn't matter, yeah, it matters. It matters a lot. And Washington is certainly smarting over that one now. But yeah, that little move a couple years ago cost the state $1 billion. So there you go. I'm chewing through a couple other last-minute headlines to kind of figure out if there's anything that I want to mention to you before we have to head our separate ways. Venezuela is detaining U.S. citizens. If you're a U.S. citizen, why are you in Venezuela? That does not seem like a good idea right now. So there's that. Questions about the AI boom continuing to drive up stocks in 2026. Speaking of the AI boom, have other folks noticed, have you guys noticed the amount of AI slop that has flooded the internet? Like social media everywhere. I knew that AI-generated content, like articles and stuff, had overtaken written content, which is particularly relevant to somebody like me who writes columns. But the amount of just transparently false and goofy stuff all over everywhere is colossal. Have you seen this, Jackson?
Yeah, particularly on Facebook.
I mean, I get it. My boys have informed me that Facebook is for the olds. that, Facebook is for, if you're younger than millennial, then Facebook is like so totally not cool. But I've noticed it on Facebook. I've noticed it on X. I've noticed, everywhere. Facebook's the worst, though. That is true. And it's like historically fake things. And I'm like, wait, what is that? What's going on? And it's made it a lot easier. One of my resolutions is to kind of minimize phone use and just not have it between me and other people. But it's a lot easier when there's the stuff. Doom scrolling used to be real. Doom scrolling now is just fake. It's just a lot of garbage that makes no sense.
Josh Heupel has died 3 times this season on Facebook.
Right. The fake sports news is what drives me insane.
It's so funny.
John Gruden was the coach of Michigan. And
he was also the Titans coach.
Right.
And he replaced Josh Heupel after his untimely death.
Right. And 1726 says Instagram's the word. Yes, it's all of it. But what I've seen, it's because they want us to debate. There's nothing to debate. It's just... Wait,
Josh Heupel is alive.
Josh Heupel is, in fact, alive. He's not a very good game manager these days, but he's alive. I mean, come on. And the coaching speculations, all this other stuff, I don't want to say AI has jumped the shark. Like, I know that it's a game changer. I use it all the time. But I've realized it's basically a Mad Lib that fills in the blanks for average content. The problem is average content on the internet is pretty dumb. And so it doesn't seem like these algorithms and these AI programs have really figured out how to deal with all the garbage on the internet. Because in theory, I thought, oh, cool, Gemini, Copilot, whatever, will now filter through the junk, and it'll only give me high quality stuff that I ask for. It will be like smart Google. And the AI stuff is just slop. There's so much garbage. It is literally like clawing through the trash on your phone now. And I actually think it's probably a good thing because people are like, my phone is way less interesting. Like, what had happened for a long time, and nobody wants to admit it, but it's absolutely true, is that people had watched things on their phones, and then they would go tell other people that they saw it like they saw it in real life. And that was fine because it was typically a video of somebody doing a thing or whatever, and it was real or real-ish. But now if you do that, you say weird things like, hey, did you know that giants built the pyramids? And then people just laugh at you, like, because that's absurd. And you were like, well, I saw a thing on social. And so people are not doing that anymore. So it's like, it's a lot less fun. There's no fun. It's no fun to doom scroll, see a thing, and then tell people and then them laugh at you because you're an idiot. And all the other content of like, I watch a lot of nature stuff, things like that. I mean, when I see stuff and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a dragon, like not a bearded dragon, not a Komodo dragon, but an actual dragon, and those aren't real, then it's not fun anymore. Tammy said, we forgot to Ken Weaver on Memcapoot. Tammy, you're going to have to help me out. We forgot to Ken Weaver on Memcapoot. Memkapoot. I don't know, Tammy. I don't know that Ken has a Memcapoot. Brian said, I do like AI dancing JD Vance with a beard and big curly hair. I mean, yeah, that's pretty great. But there's a threshold where it's just like, no. It's sort of, I could convince myself that I was being educated and learning enough that when I'd look at things on my phone, yeah, there was some dumb stuff and some things that were useless, but there were at least some things that I was learning about, like the history of Teddy Roosevelt's hunting adventures or something. I don't know. I convinced myself I was learning, but now I just can't do that. I'm like, I'm to coin Reagan, I'm learning so much that isn't so, and it's just kind of dumb. And so it's not fun anymore. I don't like it. I don't know what to do. But good luck, folks. The AI is here to stay, and what's really funny is everybody tries to sell you on AI. Well, we've poured some AI on that. You want some AI on that? I'm like, sir, I'm trying to order a Subway sandwich. I don't want an AI anything. Like, please stop. Please stop. And I think it's too much. We'll see if it goes into 2026. Probably not. Boo Radley has some thoughts on Phil Valentine. Boo, you've been real patient. What's up? Boo? Boo-hoo? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? Well, I guess Boo waited too long. Sorry, Boo. Call us back. 1616 said, AI is going to be great for dumbing down the human race even more. So we wrote dumping down, which is probably more accurate. But the dumbing down, the problem is the humans are already kind of dumb and they're on the internet. And so what happens is these generative AIs look at everything that's publicly available, which includes a lot of dumb, false, and incorrect stuff, and then says, well, what's the average of this? And that's what it gives you back. So imagine that we were talking about Mendelian genetics, okay? And we were trying to tell our AI that it is an expert geneticist. But yet, on the internet, there's a bunch of information out there from Star Trek about alien genetics. And it's fictitious and it's thrown out there, but a ton of people believe it and they circulate it. Then it gets a weight that says, okay, cool. This must be, we need to consider this information. Now, it's completely fictitious. It's not real in any way. But now when you ask about plant genetics or animal genetics, you're getting science plus Star Trek. And that is not ideal. And do I think they'll fix some of that? Sure. But, I mean, some of the videos, some of the other stuff, it is weird. And hopefully it makes us go outside and talk to people more. It makes us human again, because phones are deeply uninteresting. The couple other things that I wanted to get to, I didn't talk about Trump's win, but from a regulatory standpoint, it's one of the least sexy things that's out there. But his administration's done a really good job of getting through the bureaucratic red tape. There's nothing the left likes more than just more layers of regulations and more experts to make more people fill out more papers. I am all for common sense guardrails. But I don't like the idea of regulatory processes that take years. Like, you want to make some folks jump through some hoops to make sure that stuff's safe? Absolutely. Totally fine. Shouldn't take years. And the Trump administration's done very, very good at trying to have common sense enter the regulatory state. And so I want to give credit where credit is due. And I think that's a big story. I think that the earliest story that we're going to have of all the things we talked about today is going to be what happens with tariffs in January and February with the Supreme Court, because that will indicate a lot. It will change a lot of things. It looks like as of 16 minutes ago, Trump has abandoned his effort to deploy National Guard to Portland, Chicago, and L.A., and he is going to send Oregon National Guard members home. And I don't know why we decided to do that now, but that's kind of where it is. SNAP bans on soda and candy, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. Bans on soda, candy, and other foods will take place in 5 states: Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, Utah, and West Virginia. Have enacted waivers to prohibit the purchase of foods through this federal program. I think he's actually smart. I mean, if we're going to subsidize food, empty, nutritionless calories there's no value to it. We're just paying for it. And I don't think that's a good thing. We need to pay for nutritious stuff. The Kilmar Abrego Garcia saga is still going on. This is one that's out there and has been out there. A judge, a federal judge, I believe. This is an unsealed order, reveals that top Justice Department official called his prosecution a top priority shortly after he was mistakenly deported. He was indicted in Tennessee on federal charges of human smuggling. He was released from immigration custody earlier this month, and he's trying to get his criminal case dismissed, and that he is he's arguing that he's the victim of selective and vindictive prosecution. U.S. District Judge Waverly Crenshaw, who's overseeing the Tennessee smuggling case, is scheduled a hearing for next month. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Judge Crenshaw said that some of the documents produced by the government suggest that the prosecutor in Tennessee was not a solitary decision maker in the office's decision to bring the human smuggling charges against Abrego Garcia. And she said that acting U.S. Attorney Robert McGuire reported to others in the DOJ, and the decision to prosecute Abrego Garcia may have been a joint decision with others who may or may not have acted with improper motivation. So there's going to be a lot of legal stuff where we see how some of these things shake loose. Larry 2's back. 615-737-9986, Super Talk text line. I disagree with you on stuff, but what I heard you say, and I played back on the recording of your words, and I'm sure you misspoke about your opinion of Robert Byrd being a character. Wouldn't you really like to apologize to all the listeners of this station for your sweet talk of that POS Byrd? Or are you going to say he was misunderstood? Cameron? It's like a question mark and exclamation mark. Robert Byrd was a lot of things. He was extremely old when I was there. And yeah, he absolutely had some very racist views that were shared by many people in his generation and totally inappropriate. However, he was also a United States Senator from the state of West Virginia who was indeed a senior appropriator who was quite the character on the Senate floor. He can be both things. Strom Thurmond would be another example of that. I did not serve in the Senate when Thurmond was there, but there were a lot of folks that had some very racist views that were totally inappropriate who were elected by the people of their state to serve. So I don't know what you would like me to say about that, Larry, but he did give speeches on the Senate floor. He did recite ingredients of picnics. And he actually introduced legislation on dogfighting after the Michael Vick dogfighting stuff. We got to take a break. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Efficient Heating and Cooling. Obviously, with the temperatures going up and going down, you're probably turning on the AC. I mean, goodness gracious. AC over the Christmas holiday? Probably. We just heard the temperatures are going to be up in the 70s. With that comes a strain on your system. And if you've noticed that, Efficient Heating and Cooling can certainly help you. I encourage you to be a part of the Efficient family by calling Jeff Eddy and his team at Efficient Heating and Cooling. Give them a call today or look them up online at efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net. If you've got issues and you've noticed some of the telltale signs that you need to call somebody, give Efficient a call. Even over the holiday season, they're going to get out jiffy quick. They're going to solve what ails you. If you need a new unit, they'll tell you that. It's the last thing they want to tell you, especially during the holidays. EfficientHVAC.net or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient.
Welcome back. I was just reviewing the text of the Trash Panda Act over the break. Some of y'all had asked about the ability to find a sponsor with very little time left before the Tennessee General Assembly ramps back up. For those of you who don't know, ownership of raccoons as pets is heavily restricted under current Tennessee wildlife regulations. They are classified as non-traditional domestic animals, and there's a bunch of regulatory burdens if you want to own one. This is the nanny state. It doesn't protect the public, and we should remove these regulations. The Trash Panda Act stands for the Tennessee Raccoon Adoption, Safety, and Habitat Protection and Nurturing Domestic Animal Act, Trash Panda Act. And you can go check out the one-pager at D. Cameron Smith, hashtag TN Politics on the X machine, and it's a link to the Google Doc, and you can read all about it. So I want you guys to go look it out. It's just a legislative brief I put together. But the law that was approved in 2022 in Arkansas is as follows. So I want to make it very, very clear that this is all I'm asking for. It's unlawful. This is Arkansas law. It's unlawful to possess native wildlife as pets except as follows. Native wildlife captured by hand, and it clarifies, handheld manually operated aids such as tongs and snake hooks may be used to capture these species from the wild in Arkansas, may be possessed as personal pets in compliance with the following restrictions. No more than 6 per household of any combination of the following animals may be possessed as pets. Okay? I want to tell you this is what it is. 1, hand-captured possum, rabbit, raccoon, and squirrel. No more than 6 of those. Hand-captured. If you can hand-capture a raccoon, you are much of a man. You're a tough individual, because that raccoon, if you've ever trapped a raccoon, they're jerks, and they hate you, and they want to eat your face. So hand-captured possum, rabbit, raccoon, and squirrel. You can own 6 in Arkansas. This is even better. This is actual Arkansas statute. Deer that were captured by hand prior to July 1st, 2012 may be retained until their death. So some very old deer. Bobcat, coyote, gray fox, and red fox that were captured by hand prior to July 1st, 2022 may be retained until their death. This is funny. Hand-captured non-native, non-game wildlife other than birds, bats, alligator snapping turtles, ornate box turtles, hellbenders, Wichita streambed salamanders, collared lizards, troglodytic species, these are the cave dwellers, or those animals defined as endangered species. So basically, all the other native non-game wildlife other than birds, bats, blah, blah, blah. But that to me is pretty cool. That you can own 6 hand-captured possums, rabbits, raccoons, and squirrels in Arkansas. You can't do that in Tennessee. And so, again, this is a piece of legislation that's designed to point out we don't need a lot of these laws. We don't need to have a lot of the stuff that's on the book. It's just silly. Well, what about rabies and stuff? Did you know that you can vaccinate a raccoon? You can do that. Just like dogs, cats, and ferrets. So if you want to require that you vaccinate your raccoon after it tries to eat your face, be my guest. But I think what we need to get back to is you need to bear the consequences of your actions. You don't need to bear the consequence of the bureaucracy. I don't need to pay to have a bureaucracy. I don't need this at all. Ricky's got some thoughts on raccoons. Ricky, we got to go fast because I think we got to take another break, right, Jackson? Jackson says no. Ricky, we can take as much time as we want. Tell me about it.
Okay. When I was small, my father used to coon hunt.
Really?
He shot a coon out of a tree. It was a mama coon, and there was 2 or 3 little coons in the tree. He got one and brought it home. We kept it in the cage for a long time.
Like how long?
Several years.
Oh, wow.
And it was fine when it was little. But once it got several years old, it went back to the wild. It would try to eat you up.
Really?
Yes.
So even after y'all treated it like a pet for years, once it got big, it was like, I'm going to eat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear I ain't lying.
Yeah, I believe you, Ricky. I mean, that seems to be consistent with what I know of raccoons. I mean, they have opposable thumbs. They can get into anything. They don't really need us. They're doing just fine without us. My whole point is You don't go ahead.
Don't get me wrong, they're real cute and nice when they're small.
Right.
But when they grow up and get old, and especially when we get real old, they turn back to the wild. They will try to eat you alive.
Well, and Ricky, who needs to be responsible for that? The person that owns the raccoon or the government?
I couldn't tell you.
I think it's the person who has the raccoon, because if you want to take the risk that it's going to eat your face and it eats your face, whose fault is that?
Well, I can't really say. I mean, one way or the other. I mean, you'd have to have a restriction, I guess you'd say. Once it gets so old, you turn it over.
So you can have baby raccoons, but when they get to be old and ornery, you got to give them back?
Well, that or take a chance of it eating you alive or somebody coming by.
Well, I think, Ricky, then that's on you, isn't it? Because you're the one that has them as a pet.
True.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to walk a raccoon around on a leash and then one day he decides that he hates you and he's going to bite you, well, then you're going to get bit, and that's your problem, not mine. See what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad to know somebody that's got a raccoon as a pet for a while, and that's I learned something, Ricky. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, Ricky tells it like it is. I like that, because it's not that it's a good idea to own raccoons, folks. It's not. I can just tell you right now, I've caught many of them, and none of them are nice. And I guess babies are nicer, but there's something in them that's evil. They're angry. I mean, they just want your trash. And you think about it. Not only do they just get in your trash, they throw it everywhere. They're spiteful. That's raccoons for you. And I know that the Titans fan, there's a T-Rack, the raccoon, he's cute. He drives around on the thing and all that stuff, but he'll bite you at some point too. At some point, he'll get old enough, and like Ricky says, they're ornery, and it doesn't go well. And so we're just waiting for T-Rack to just chomp down on somebody at some point.
He ran over a Cowboys player about 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's probably because he's a raccoon. Not a bad driver. It's because he's a raccoon. And this is, all kidding aside, the point is, it's on you. There's a point that you've got to deal with the responsibility for your choices. I preach this to the 5 boys in my house. As you get older, towards an adult, you have to deal with the choices you make. When you're a little kid, we don't hold it against you. Now, we may be annoyed with you and you may get disciplined, but the point is, we're like, you're a kid. But as you get older, we do hold it against you. We say, you ought to know better. And honestly, you got to know better than to try to hand catch a raccoon and make it your pet, because he's just going to want to hurt you. And that's kind of my point, is I don't need government to fix that for me. I don't need government to tell me anything about that. I don't need government to evaluate whether I'm a suitable parent for a raccoon. I just need the government to say, you know what? This is kind of on you. And guess what? If I go over to a friend's house and they own a raccoon and it bites me and I get sick or something happens, then I can sue them because it's their fault. They have responsibility. Their ownership of a raccoon is a proximate cause of my injury. So guess what? That's how that works. Nolene said, an adult male raccoon will shred a tractor tire suspended in its pen within a week. They are vicious. That is 100% true. They don't mess around. They don't have time for that. They may look cute, but that is literally the point. You should know better than that. It's like saying, you know what? I'm going to go catch some diamondback rattlesnakes, and I'm just going to have them just kind of chilling out in my house. That's a terrible idea. But I don't need the government to protect me from that. I don't need the government to tell me I can't do that. I don't need the government to stop. The government just needs to say, you know what? We're going to let you do you and deal with the consequence of your actions. Pretty straightforward. Liz has some thoughts on raccoons. What you got, Liz?
Oh, raccoons, rattlesnakes, all of them. If you bring a wild animal in your house, same like if you own a dog, and it's at your house and you take responsibility for that animal. If it bites you, it's your responsibility. It shouldn't be the government's responsibility to take care of that.
Amen.
They didn't ask you to bring it in your home.
Right. And that's kind of my point is I don't need to have a permit for that. I don't need to. And honestly, I feel the same way about raccoons and diamondback rattlesnakes and bears and guns. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you own that gun. That's your gun. Like you put it up, you put a lock on it, you do what you need to do. And if you hurt somebody with that, it's on you.
Exactly.
I mean, that's how that works. And so I feel like government's just kind of been busybodies, got into too many things. And the idea of, well, I'm going to get a raccoon and then I fill out some paperwork and that way somebody knows that we have it. I mean, all that stuff just drives me nuts. Like, that's just silliness.
That's just everybody wanting to be in everybody's business. I agree with you on that. But, you know, what I do behind my doors at home is my business.
And you may be great with raccoons, and you may be the raccoon whisperer. Good for you.
I know somebody that owns a raccoon, and it's a lovely pet. It's got its own room, its own bed. It plays well with the dog and everything else. And they took this raccoon in and have raised it since it was a baby. Me personally, I got too many kids around my house, and I wouldn't take the chance.
Yeah.
But I have played with said raccoon and stuff. Like, that's them. That's what I've known people that have raised squirrels. Like,
yeah.
If you have that ability to do it, then do it. But if it hurts you, it's on you, not the government or anything like that. No, and it's not their business.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about my kids. We got 5 boys in my house, raising teenagers. They're way more dangerous than raccoon. That's just the way it is,
Man.
Liz.
I understand that. I was blessed with all girls, and sometimes I wonder, boys might have been easier because my nephews was a lot easier to raise than girls. But, yes, I've always had a house full of them. I agree with you.
Well, thanks, Liz. I appreciate it. Happy New Year.
All right, Happy New Year to you, too.
All right. We have got to take a break. I think this may be our last break. I mean, we're doing New Year's, folks. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy. And, you know, Eurofix is such a great company. They've got such great staff at Eurofix. They understand how to fix your European automobile. And, friends, I want to tell you that one of the marks of a good parent, they warn their kids about danger, who to trust and who to avoid, and how to make smarter choices. I mean, we know that. Well, friends, at Eurofix, they repair European vehicles, and Eurofix believes in warning their customers, too. In one case, for example, Eurofix gave a refund check to a customer, over $5,000. Now, who does that? Well, Eurofix does that because they police themselves. They believe in honesty and integrity first and foremost. They're going to do the job the right way the first time. Not every auto shop will tell you the full story. Some will oversell you. Others cut corners. Some may not know what to do at all. You could pay for something you don't need at these companies. Eurofix will not do that to you. They make quality repairs at below dealer pricing and have since 1999. Get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection and a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all the work they do at Eurofix. Rental cars also available with every appointment. Stay on the road with Eurofix, family-owned and operated for over a quarter century. Call Eurofix today at 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or online at myEurofix.com.
your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Welcome back. We're about done. Hey, and I appreciate everybody on the Super Talk text line, 615-737-9986. Wishing the other listeners, wishing us a happy new year. Same to you guys. I really want y'all to have a good one. As Matt says, hug your loved ones, but I'd tell you, just prioritize relationships. Prioritize getting to know folks. Spend a little time with them. We don't do enough of that anymore, and it makes all the difference. And 2026 hadn't happened yet. It's about to. It's coming whether we like it or not. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and again and hoping for different results. Think about what you're going to change. I got some good buds in my life who we think through goals and things that are important to us. We talk to each other. We hold each other accountable. We try to do the best we can to encourage one another to meet those objectives, right? And it's just a little thing, but it's nice having somebody in your corner. Patrina said, thanks, Cameron, for taking time away from your family to fill in for the slacker Murphy. Blessings in 26 and beyond to you and yours and our Jay Willie, the snuggle daddy himself. Thank you. My family, I think, is glad to get rid of me for a little while so I can go talk on the radio and they can relax. But I'm going to spend some time with my wife and boys tonight and just think a little bit about the year. Have a good time, eat some good food. And I'd encourage y'all to do the same. It really matters. Honestly, it doesn't so much matter where you're going as who you're going with. And I've realized that a lot over the years. I think maybe that's part of me getting older and slightly more nostalgic for the past, that I think it's just old. But I've realized that the people that you go through life with, that's the basis for those memories. And so, you know, I want all of y'all to know how much I've appreciated you the last several days. I got a couple other fill-in dates coming up. But this has been fun. Y'all have been a fantastic audience. Even Larry, too. Larry 1's great. Larry 2, he's coming after me. He's giving me a hard time. But thankfully, I don't get my feelings hurt easy. Tough leather hide. It's probably rhino hide, if I'm honest. And that's what Bob tells me. But I want y'all to have a very happy new year, a safe one. Make good decisions. Start the year off on a positive note. Don't be wild, people. Don't go trap a raccoon, you know? That's just not a good idea. At least not until you don't need a permit. I'm Cameron Smith. This is the Matt Murphy Show. Happy 2026, y'all.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7 Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a